Your attention, please. If you did not receive your pink raffle ticket yet, please come to the front of the stage and get one.
Suck the life right out of my veins when you spoke my name. Got the kind of thing going that tips the scales. Yeah, you keep me sane. I'll be the clouds beyond your skies. I'll flutter by like butterflies. I'll be the blue inside your eyes. Your crazy loving keeps me paralyzed. Oh, this is what it feels like. Oh, this is what it feels like. Oh, this is what it feels like to see reflections of you all around. Oh, this is what it sounds like. Oh, this is what it sounds like. Oh, this is what it sounds like to hear reflections of you all around. Wanna taste you again like a secret or a sin. Wanna feel you again like the ocean sand on my skin. I'll be the fight against your fears, forever here, just save those tears. I'll be the courage in your wings, not letting go, I'm all you need. Oh, this is what it feels like. Oh, this is what it
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage, Lumination. Hey guys, good morning. Oh, I'm not getting enough illumination for you? That wasn't good? I just want to let you know that you guys inspire me so. I gotta turn this off. Get the photos while you can because this is running off of like a 9 battery pack that Ted told me will melt. So I don't want you guys to witness the untimely demise of me on a stage. So get the pictures quickly and we're off. All right. These are, by the way, Radio Shack batteries. If anyone has been to a Radio Shack in the past 5 years, please tell me. I haven't seen one in ages. At any rate, you guys inspired me so much last night. I went back to my room and guess what I did? I YouTubed how to breakdance videos. And guess what I learned? You're awesome. Nothing. Breakdancing is hard. Have you seen those videos? It's ridiculous what they do. So we're not going to do that again or anymore. But you know, I'm happy to see you guys here again. Who went to Universal last night? Yeah, how was it? Was it fun? Was it cold? Yeah, it was fun. Did you make use of the open bar? Yes. Did anybody win anything last night? Did you win? You did? What did you win? You won a frog and a bouncy ball. Oh my God. What? Send a picture to your mamas. I bet she's proud. Okay, so really quickly, a couple reminders, badges, lunch is only an hour. We do want you here back on time so that we can do more of our giveaways and not have to retain the programming. Chris Brogan will actually tape his presentation and it will be placed on the IZEAfest website for you to review at a later time at your leisure. So many thanks to Chris for that. We're taking pictures, it throws me off. All right, so let's get back into seeing what you guys did last night because I fell asleep. But before we do that, obviously thanking our sponsors, partners, and supporters. Again, these companies and organizations have been instrumental in getting all of you here and getting the conference on the road. We're so grateful for their commitment to supporting IZEA and the event itself. Big round of a hand for all of our sponsors, please. Yeah. If any of you have the opportunity to get on the sky deck, there's a special way to do it. You can't just walk up there. It is really fun. I took a nap up there earlier. Super cool. Okay, here we go. Number one, who is tagging things with the hashtag IZEAfest? Okay, keep your hands up. Who is tagging things with the hashtag IZEAfest and strange memes still? Y'all learned a lesson. That's good. That's good. We don't want to have to pull that down again, so please hashtag responsibly. Make sure you tag all of your posts, of course, videos, tweets, and all of your content, hashtag IZEAfest, and use the Snapchat filter. And let's see what some of you guys did last night. Here we go. Oh, that's cute. How do you pronounce that? Mortuary. Morataria. You know what? It looked cute, though. You guys look like you had fun. I'm jealous. That's pretty much my goal in life, riding a tiger. Aw, Spider-Man. I didn't get to meet Spider-Man. So jealous. Aw, Captain America. That's awesome. You guys are having such a great time. I'm so happy to see that. Please keep tagging your photos. Let's get the show on the road. The first thing we're going to do, obviously, is give away a Lenovo. Yay! This is one. We're giving away one Y700. Check out the video. Oh, we got numbers. My battery pack?
You might that. Gaming gamer up there or that?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, was that cool? Does anybody, oh, there's Christine with the actual Lenovo. Does anybody like to watch movie trailers? Like without watching, just watch it? I feel like I could watch that video all day. It's such a good movie trailer for a laptop. All right, here we go, the Y700. An amazing machine, by the way, if you're a gamer. Does anybody game? Into the games? Yes? Okay, then you're gonna want this. You're all gonna want this. Here you go, Christine. Picking the number, finding a winner. Who's it gonna be? Ending in 620. 346 620. Oh, there's, is it you? Oh my God, you did a thing. It's so early and you're such a winner. Let me check though. Hold, don't get too excited. Let's see. Yeah, that matches. Great. Good job. So happy. I'm so happy for, hey, I'm happy for you. I mean, hey, look at me. You did this. And you can all do this. All right, here we go. Let's get this show on the road with another raffle. Here we go, yeah. Thank you very much to our partners at Vera Bradley. These are the Cuban Tiles luggage set, and I will pull one name. Oh my God, here it is. Come here.
Here it is. It's
Yeah.
heavy and the bag is breaking. So
The bag, okay.
I have to hold it like this.
It can't model itself, so can you walk it across the, there we go, yeah. There it is. This is Kelsey, ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause for Kelsey. Here we go. 346642. Where are you? 346. Oh, is that you? Yes, come up here. How heavy is it? Oh, come on. There you go. Francesca. What a beautiful name. Here we are. Hold on.
The bag is breaking. Oh, okay.
Yes,
Not the
approved.
bag, but this bag.
Approved. All right, let's get started. Please welcome to the stage. Oh, thank you, Kelsey. Big round of applause for Kelsey. Yes? Let's take a minute to learn about outrageous trust with Roy Reid. Hi, Roy.
Thank you. Well, good morning. Oh, come on, better than that. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, IZEAfest. So, I want to spend the next 30 minutes with you on some exciting things. I want to address the elephant in the room right now as it relates to trust. If you look up on the screen, you'll see exactly what people think as it relates to elected officials, right? So if this isn't maybe the best reflection of some of the challenges that we have in business about dealing with trust, I'm not sure what is. But we'll get into that too a little bit later. Let me tell you a little about myself. This is my why. This is my why, my family. My wife, Kim, we've been married now for 27 years and have 4 beautiful children. In fact, I don't get to do this enough when I go out and speak, but she's here today, so I want to ask her to stand up. She's in the back. Wave at everyone, honey. She is my much better half. So, but at any rate, I also have a passion for martial arts, and because this is the coolest picture anyone's ever taken of me, it's in every slide deck that I have. So, and I use this because the content that we will discuss this morning finds its place in the faith that I have, the practice that I have in martial arts, but also in 27 years of communications practice as well. And so what my passion is, and that what wakes me up every morning, is that I want to teach and train people to get better results through better relationships with a conscious, mindful, and intentional effort about building trust. And I've had the opportunity to share this message all over the United States and around the world. These 2 pictures on this one are me doing the presentation in China in 2014. And I'd like to introduce, I've got 9 students and young professionals from China with me today that are staying with my wife and I. It's important for us to share the gifts and the blessings that we have here in the United States with people when they want to come and learn about that. So the other picture on this page is where I met Ted Murphy doing some work at Florida BlogCon together. And I want to thank Ted for his vision and his energy and the opportunity to be here and share with you today. So if you guys could give him a hand too, I'd really appreciate that. Now my full-time job, whoops, I went the wrong way, although I love my family. My full-time gig is with Adventist Health Systems. We're the parent company of Florida Hospital, for those of you from this area. How many from Orlando here? All right, welcome. Again, who traveled from out of town? Awesome, welcome to my hometown. I'm glad to have you. But throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to work with a number of brands that I'm sure you recognize, and some you don't. And both are equally important because they contribute a lot to what I've done, and I'm very grateful for the people that I've had a chance to work with. I want to share with you as well, I had the opportunity just this year to get a Lifetime Achievement Award from Trust Across America for the work that I'm going to share with you today. And I get to share that honor with some really cool people like Stephen Covey and others. And so let's take this journey. We're all about content. Some of us are providers of that content. Some of us are the makers of that content. It's all about communication. Every time we communicate, our primary intent should be to build trust with somebody. You heard the research yesterday. Consistently throughout that research, we heard 2 things: trust and credibility. One does not happen without the other. And I want to look at trust from a variety of ways, but from an organic standpoint, I see trust as a living thing. It's a lot like this acorn. You put it in the ground, you take care of it, it grows into a big tree. But more importantly than that, over time, if that tree manifests into what it should be, it defines the horizon for which it stands. And that's all of you. You have an opportunity in your niche, in your space, to define that space. And if you can define it on trust, it will be so much more significant. Now, what I hope to really give you today is a gift. And I want that gift not just to be about business, but to be about life. So trust affects you individually. It affects how you see yourself, how you engage, your family, friends, coworkers, community, and your civic engagement. So let's not look at this with any kind of constraints to it, but how it applies to me individually. Now, I call my program Outrageous Trust, and I do that for an important reason. When you hear that word, it elicits a response, an emotional response, and it also means not average. Because when it comes to relationships and trust, I don't want average. Average does not work. Average only gets you by, and nobody wants to just get by. So let me begin this with a story. A little bit earlier, you saw my family. I have 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. And my girl's the youngest, and this is Faith. And this is the best picture to ever capture her personality, I promise you. Now, this is a few years ago. Faith is now 15, so she knows everything, right? And being the only girl, you know what that means for me, right? Wrapped around the little finger. So 7 or 8 years ago, as I embarked on this journey, and I had just started speaking to groups about trust, I'd landed a big opportunity to talk to a group out in California. It was about a month away. I was getting prepared for it, mentally, all excited. I came home about a few weeks out from the event, and Faith had turned our dining room into a bracelet factory. Now, you guys know what I'm talking about that have little girls, right? It's an OSHA violation. All these little beads that you step on, they get implanted in your foot. But she was so excited. She came up to me and she said, "Hey, Dad, would you wear this bracelet I made for you?" And I said, "Absolutely, I'd wear that bracelet." And I got to tell you, it was high quality stuff. Look at this. It's got my name on it. There's a heart in the middle. It meant something. And when your child makes something for you like that, you become what we call technically show and tell. So all weekend, everywhere we went, she was so proud to show this bracelet off. So I got up on Tuesday morning to go to work. I put the suit on. I had a big meeting. The bracelet's on the dresser. I couldn't wait to get back home and, see her again. When I got home that night, Kim and I are in the kitchen making dinner. Bracelet factory, by the way, still going full steam. She comes into the kitchen. She's got another bracelet, different colored beads on it, and all I could think of is, I've only got so much arm to give to this cause. She looks at me and she says, "Daddy, if you didn't like the other bracelet, would you wear this one?" It broke my heart. Here I am, the expert in communications, the guy that's going to go to California and teach business people how to build trust and better relationships, and I screwed it up with my 7-year-old little girl. I stood in that kitchen confronted with the idea that I didn't fully appreciate or understand her perspective in what the bracelet was all about. Now, sometimes we're the one that makes the bracelet, and sometimes we're the recipient of the bracelet, but what we have to keep in mind is that we earn the trust with all the little things that we say and do in people's lives. And so I went back in the bedroom, I put the bracelet back on, and I wear it every day because it reminds me of 2 things. 1, I told her I would, but 2, and most importantly, and what we're going to unpack in the time that we have left with each other today, is that it is all those little things. And we can't look at trust as one big idea. It's a lot of little things that we do and say. And I want to share those things with you because you're going to mess up. I mess up every day. And you're going to get opportunities in life, and as this saying here says, whoever can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. And we earn that over time. And so the lesson that my daughter shared with me that day, unintentionally, was that humbleness and humility are the starting point for the kind of trust that really matters as we're building relationships with other people. We're all wired up for relationships. We don't do anything in life great alone. And so as we do this, let's approach this with that idea that we're going to be humble enough to be vulnerable and to understand what that other person's all about. Now, too often people look at trust as some hug fest, touchy-feely idea, but there are results that you get when you have high trust relationships or a high trust culture if you work for an organization. You reduce risks when trust is there. You are able to be more efficient and more effective in the work that happens. People work better together. If you're an employer, your employees stay with you because of that. They want to be part of something where they feel trusted and they feel like trust exists. You get advocacy, not just loyalty from customers, advocacy. When things go bad, you want your customers and the people around you to stand up for you when it's hard. And I did a lot of crisis communications work throughout my career, and my 4 favorite words are benefit of the doubt. When something happens bad, do you have the benefit of the doubt? Will they say, you know what, I trust them, I'm going to let them fix it, or are they going to leave? And then brand is all about preference. It's all about being that person or organization that somebody chooses. You already measure the things that you need to measure. The question is, are you looking at it through the right lens? And I would argue that you've got to have trust first. In terms of culture, the Ethics Resource Center in 2010 said that increasing trust drives down risk. And when you do that, you set that culture in place. You do the things that matter. You lead by example. People see what's happening. And so we're going to talk about how the changes in the marketplace require us now to even be more intentional about this. Trust is the currency of the marketplace. It is what gets you the opportunities to do things and come back and do them again and be forgiven when you don't do it right. There's been changes in the marketplace. I look at the market like I look at 2004 in Central Florida. Who was here in 2004? We had 4 hurricanes come through the market, right? This is Frances. She was here for about 8 weeks. It changed this community significantly. And life is about the storm. You're either in the middle of it now, coming out of it, or getting ready to go back into it. It never changes. Trust becomes an anchor in the midst of that storm. And the consumers changed. They're much more like a stakeholder. They want more say in the beginning of your engagement. They want to tell you more about how you do things in the midst of it, and they're more demanding on the back end. Everybody has a stronger position in the marketplace, so we have to be stronger in that marketplace as well. And what's changing that? A lot of why we're here. Everybody's a media outlet. Everyone has a stronger voice. Everyone has more reach in what we say and do. So we've got to be better at building that relationship. I'm not going to drone on about statistics, but if you ever get a chance, look at the Edelman Trust Barometer. It tells us a big picture view of what's happening in trust around the world. And you can see that nobody gets a passing grade right now. Business, media, government. Look at the credibility factor. We looked at government officials a minute ago. This shows the opposite end of that spectrum, that only 29% of people feel that they're credible. And when we don't have trust, people feel a sense of injustice, a lack of hope, a lack of confidence. They want change. You are the change agents to make that happen in anything that you do right now. And so here's what I'd like to do. Take a minute and think about the 2 people that you trust the most. You got that in your mind? And now take another minute, and if you've got something to write on, write down the 2 or 3 words that come to mind immediately when you think about that person and why you trust them the most. Now, if you're sitting next to a friend, you might want to hide your answers in case their name's not there. I'm a uniter, not a divider. So what I'd like you to do is somebody yell out one of the words that came to mind. Consistency, loyal, what else? That too. What else? Honest. Loving, family, come on, more. Caring, forgiving. So you guys heard those words, right? I do this everywhere. And I want to tell you first, congratulations, you're all human. And what do I mean by that? I mean what I said earlier is that we're all wired up for relationships. So the answers that I get in Nanjing, China, are the same as St. Louis, Missouri, the same in Orlando, Florida. And there's two big contributing factors to trust. And a lot of us gravitate to one perhaps more than the other. But the first big bucket is emotion. Emotion has a big impact on where people are going to trust or not trust us initially. And when I think of emotional trust, I think of family, I think of friends, I think of those relationships that are really deep and connecting. The other driver is experience. And so if you look at the two in the way we live our daily lives, there's a lot of people that I trust for the experience that I have with them, like vendors who I will hire to do a job over and over and over again because they're the best at it. But I would never trust them with a deep, dark secret. And on the other end of that spectrum, I have friends that I will trust to watch my children, who I will give information to, I won't give any others, but I would never hire them. We call that family. I'm just teasing. Sorry, Mom. You know my parents got to be watching, right? So what we really want to do is get awesome at both. Because in the end, trust is just the belief or perception that people have. It's the assurance that they have in us to know that we are going to be consistent emotionally and experiential. And so no good business presentation comes without a quad, 4 ideas to think about. So what I've tried to do is break it down even further for us. Number one, as you look at where emotion and experience meet up, is the concept of being trustworthy. Now, trustworthy is different than trusted. Trustworthy is, hey, congratulations, you've earned the right to be trusted. And we're going to talk about what feeds into trustworthiness in just a moment. But up the emotional scale, and you heard this again yesterday in the research, is that people want us to be authentic. They want us to be real. They want to know that we're consistent in that presence of who we are. On the experience side of it, they want to know that we're dependable. That when we say we do something, we are going to do that thing. And we're going to do it right. And we're going to do it better. And the fourth is sort of the outlier in the mix here. And this is the one that will be the real difference maker when we get to it. And that's influence. Isn't that what we're talking about here? That ability to transcend a specific thing that you do or a job that you do, to have influence on the community that you serve, whether that's geographically or otherwise. And so let's unpack some of this. So I want to package each of these 4 things into 4 guiding principles for you. And the first one is this: be trustworthy and take responsibility for your relationships. That sounds simple, but a lot of times we assume way too much in a relationship. We allow our own self-perception to not be deep or honest enough to ask the question, do they trust us? Do they trust me? And why? Have I earned that trust? You don't get it by just showing up. You have to be more engaged than that. There's 8 ideas that trustworthy people hold out in front at all times. Number 1 is integrity. If we can't get past this one, we'll just stop at this point. You have to have integrity to be trustworthy. You have to be willing to do the right thing even when no one else is looking. You have to have a moral compass and a center. You have to have accountability in what you do. Now, the other side of integrity says that there's a consistency in the things that you do, and it's like everything else that we want to grade. How consistent are you in that behavior? So integrity has that first contact point with people, and it's the thing that's going to really either enhance or hurt the relationship. Second attribute is attitude. Attitude determines how people are going to trust us. It's the first thing people see when they engage with us. It's the first experience people have with us. It's what determines what you're going to tip the waiter or waitress at dinner. Because it says, you're important to me. I'm engaged with you. John Maxwell, in his book, The Difference Maker, which everyone should read, spends its entire time discussing the importance of attitude and how it impacts both what we do and what people around us do. And you know what? It's really the only thing you control at the end of the day. You can't control anyone else. You can't control the weather. You can't control the market. You can't control the customer, but you can control your attitude. And that filter can determine how you respond appropriately or inappropriately. The third idea is focus. People want to know that you're focused on the most important thing right now, and that's usually what they're worried about. So we have to be better listeners. We have to be more engaged. We have to hear what they're telling us, not just wait for the opportunity to speak. We have to come back to them with the work that they've defined as most important. The next attribute is initiative. Trustworthy people don't wait for somebody else to tell them to do something. They solve the problem now. They don't leave it, they don't wait for it, they go out and get it. Those of you in the room that are entrepreneurs, you are the example of initiative. You are the ones making a new way. That's the model that we should look at when we think about making a difference in that regard. Insight. Are you a lifelong learner? Trustworthy people are the ones who don't have their hand up the whole time in a meeting. They're the ones at the end of the meeting that the leader says, "What do you think?" Because they're investing time and energy in becoming better people, not just better at business. So I would ask this question: do you have a mentor? Are you engaged with people on accountability levels? And are you a voracious reader of information? Be a lifelong learner. It sets you apart. It adds a dimension of value into whether somebody's going to see you as trustworthy. Trustworthy people practice perseverance. Somebody who wants to trust you, they want to know that you're going to be there when times get tough and not cut and run when it doesn't. They want to know that you're going to be there consistently when things are difficult. Trustworthy people do excellent work. They do their best work first. They don't slack off. They don't let up. And then lastly, trustworthy people live with a sense of vision, something bigger than themselves, and they bring others along with them in that vision and what they do. The second guiding principle, I want you to be authentic and build trust from the inside out. If you don't get it right in here, it doesn't happen right out here. People want to know that you're talking with them, not at them. They want to know that you're not too made up. They want to know that you've got the personal experience in what happens. Authentic people understand their purpose. What is your purpose? What is it that you're here to do? Purpose is a great grounding instrument. If you understand your purpose, you are consistent in the way you behave, in the things that you do, and that consistency contributes to such a high level of engagement with other people. You're not wishy-washy. You're not doing one thing one day, one thing the next. You're not going to give this up tomorrow to go do this other thing because you're grounded in an idea that says, this is the thing that I am about. Authentic people are present in their relationships. Digital is great, personal is better. You want to build the kind of relationships where people have that connection with you. I'll never forget earlier in my career when I was director of communications for a pretty big organization, I had two people having an argument on email. The really sad part was they sat in cubicles almost next to one another. So I grabbed them both, pulled them in my office, and I said, we're going to fix this right now, right? How often does that happen, though? How often do we not take the opportunity to get face-to-face with someone when we could? Make that time. Respect everyone. You don't have to agree. In fact, you can argue with people day in and day out. That makes for good decisions. But what happens is oftentimes we don't let them leave with their dignity because we win the argument too bad. Not that that happens on Facebook or anything. Respect everyone, always. Cultivate candor in your relationships. Allow people to speak honestly to you. Allow people around you. Set up accountability groups. Make sure that people are telling you the truth, because the minute they stop doing that, you're going to run off the road. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after I get through these other two. Authentic people exercise forgiveness. The spiritual side is important when you talk about forgiveness, but I want to talk about the practical side of it. Do not let what others do dictate who you are. When you're hurt by somebody else, it hurts. It's real. Learn from that. Grow from that. Adjust what you need to adjust, but don't let it hold you back. Let it go. Let's all sing the song. Well, let's not. Yes, I have a daughter. And then lastly, the really cool thing about authentic people is that they're transparent. Bless you. What you say should be what you do. How do your actions manifest from the words that you use? Are they consistent? Is there transparency in your operation? I talked earlier about candor. This is the Johari window. Anyone seen this before? So I learned about this in college, and it's really an awesome device to think about the engagement you have with people. So you can see that in the upper corner, it says known to self and known to others. That's your public self or the arena. So if I Google you, that's what I find out. Not known to others, but known to self, that's the facade or really kind of my private self. Those are all the things that you can talk to my wife about that I do that I don't want you to know about. And then there's the not known to self but known to others, the blind spot. That's what I want to land on. We all have them. There's things that you do right now every day that irritate other people. There's things you do every day that are big potholes in the way you function. You need people around you to say, hey, you're making a mistake, you need to change that. Hey, you're about to jeopardize your relationship with so-and-so, you need to switch that. I've been very fortunate my entire career to have people around me that tell me the truth, and sometimes it hurts pretty bad, but it gets me on course. I was part of a bank board at one point in my life, and it was a big opportunity for me. I'm sitting in the first meeting, and it correlated with when I got my first BlackBerry. Remember BlackBerry? And we all became addicted to that, like this. Not that that's changed, but on that first week I had it, I learned that I could actually solve problems over that. And I'm sitting in that bank board meeting solving a client's problem. I think I'm doing the right thing, but I'm completely disengaged from the meeting. I get back to my office and one of my employees, someone who works for me, comes in my office and says, hey, how was the board meeting? I said, oh, it was great. She goes, how do you know? I'm like, what? She said, yeah, I got a phone call that you were totally disengaged. Well, I had two choices at that point. I could tell her to get out of my office, or I could fix it. So I called every member of the board and I apologized. And that's all warm and fuzzy, but I got a contract from somebody on that bank board a few years later that I know I would not have gotten had the only thing they had ever seen of me been that guy that was disengaged at the meeting. The next thing is that you need to be dependable and communicate consistently. This is about performance. You need to be fully engaged in the work that you do. You need to deliver on time or early. You need to give a consistent, reliable performance, and you need to evaluate what you do on a daily basis. If it's not worth measuring, it's not worth doing. The last thing I want to share with you guys is this idea, and that is you need to be influential and a good steward with your trust. You need to hold others accountable to the same ideas that we're talking about for ourselves. People of influence do hard things. They fight for the things most important. As Dr. King said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. Where do you stand when things get difficult? Are you in the right place? People of influence do the following things. They choose to contribute, they're decisive, and they fight for what's important. They make a physical or a public commitment to the change they're going to make. They confront the good, the bad, and the ugly. Jim Collins in Good to Great writes about the fact that companies that do this see things that get in the way quicker and adjust better. They find the competence to do the work, so be humble enough to ask for help when you want to make a difference. Find the right people, or go get the education you need. You're here now because you're looking for that competence. Thank you, congratulations. That will help you be more influential. And then lastly, people of influence have the courage to finish. Jefferson said, one man with courage is the majority. One person can make a difference. The thing I want to encourage all of you to do is a few things. Number one, follow these principles. If I have one promise to you today, it's that if you activate these ideas in your life right now, you will see a difference immediately. It may not be in a relationship that you've got conflict over. It may not change the world with what you do, but it will influence one person to do something different and better. And when you act and change the way, when you're intentional about trust, when you're the person driving relationships, it affects everybody around you. It changes the way people see things. The other thing I want to encourage you to think about is this is your legacy. This is the thing that will last long before, long after you're gone. And the other thing I want to encourage you to do is to build a monument to this in some way. I wear this bracelet as a monument to the idea of trust that began with that mistake that I made with my daughter. I mess this up every day. I stand before you as somebody who is going to walk out of this room and I'm going to miss something. And it's not the question of if we're going to mistake, it's when we make a mistake and how do we rectify and fix it. I work with companies all the time. A lot of times what I'll do with that company is I'll have them build a contract among leadership. Build 10 ideas spoken in their voice, in their language for their company to live by and say, these are the principles that we're going to act on with one another to build a culture of trust among ourselves, with our employees, with our customers, and in our organization. Think about what it is that you look to on a daily basis that says, I am committed to richer, more fulfilling, productive, and profitable relationships because I'm building them first on trust and then cultivating them accordingly. I want to thank you for your time this morning, and I hope everything that you're after comes through. Thank you so much.
That was wonderful. Oh my God. Mr. Reid got me all concerned about my blind spots and leaving a legacy, and my kid doesn't make good jewelry. It's pretty shoddy, so I don't keep it. But at any rate, that was good. That was really good, you guys. All right, here we go. Next up, I know 3 things about this man because he just told them to me. Number 1, big DJ Khaled fan. Number 2, big Snapchat user. And number 3, he's from Florida. Please welcome Carlos Gill up for Snapchat for creators and influencers.
Thank you. Woo! What up, Snapchat fam? How's it going? It is great to be back in my home state of Florida. Shout out to anyone that came up from either Fort Lauderdale or Jacksonville. Yeah. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about Snapchat for creators. I want to do a very quick poll to know who's in the audience. Who in this room is on Snapchat? Look around. And who in the room is a creator on Snapchat that's looking to make some money? A lot of you guys, right? So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys what I've learned over the last couple of years of being on Snapchat. I'm going to teach you guys how you can be much more effective in working with brands. And I want to give myself a quick plug. Be sure to add me on Snapchat, the Carlos Gill. So a little bit about myself, guys. I've worked in marketing now in social media for almost 10 years. I've worked for both B2C and B2B brands. I started up social media for a company you guys might know here in Florida by the name of Winn-Dixie. And during this time in which I've started influencer marketing programs and ran strategy, and I've spoken all over the world on the topic of social media and Snapchat, there's one thing that's constant that I've learned, and that's social media evolution is inevitable. And the reason why social media evolution is inevitable is because of the people, because of you guys in this room. Because as the people evolve, the platforms and the audience on those platforms, they evolve too. And if you don't believe me, just ask AOL and MySpace. What happens when the platforms don't evolve with the people? Now, with that being said, I get asked this question all the time. Why should my company be on Snapchat? And as creators, as influencers, as brands in the room, these are questions that you are going to be asked. And this is a very important question. And here's the reason why. This is a Rubik's Cube that you see. Okay? Social media today is very fragmented. No one is loyal to any platform anymore. And don't think as a brand, just because you have all these followers on Facebook, they're paying attention on Facebook. Because the reality is that most people use social networks to hang out with their homies and not follow brands. I want to know who woke up this morning and went on Facebook just to see a sponsored post. Anyone? No. So because social media is so fragmented, you've seen this monumental shift in which you have millennials, they're crossing over to Snapchat. In fact, Snapchat in a single day reaches 41% of all 18 to 34-year-olds in the United States, which is a big majority of the population who's using social media. And the reason why Snapchat has become a thing amongst millennials is for a few key reasons. One, it's highly addictive. Who doesn't like going on Snapchat and seeing what their friends are posting, the lenses that they're using, the filters in their area? It's easy to use. You don't have those sponsored posts in your feed. Also, it's what I like to call brand free, because the reality is this: if you want to escape Facebook or Twitter because you don't want to see brands, you go to Snapchat, because you can still hang out with your homies, create content. Now, with that being said, here's what Snapchat is not. Because there's a big misconception from what I've heard from my peers, which are brand marketers and CMOs at companies all over the world. And they have a very big misconception of Snapchat. And this is what you're going to face as you're going out trying to work with brands. The first thing is they will always say that Snapchat is only for teens and for college students. And I call BS on that. And the reason why is because of the data. 77% of users on Snapchat are above the age of 18. Who buys products? First of all, who buys products? People have money, right? Kids who are 13 to 18, they ask their parents for money. So don't disregard the teenagers out there that are on social media. But when you look at these demographics and you see where it's skewing, again, brands want to go ahead and be able to reach consumers that have money to buy their products. Snapchat is starting to skew a little older, just like we saw Facebook do. You will often hear from marketers that they say that the UI is difficult to navigate. Now, we have a lot of people in the room that are on Snapchat. How difficult is it to swipe up, down, left, and right? That's how you use Snapchat. It's not difficult at all. You will also hear that there's no way to measure ROI, along with my audience isn't on Snapchat. And let's address the elephant in the room. You will also hear from a lot of people that say that Snapchat is a sexting app. Now, here is what Snapchat really is, guys. It's a legit marketing channel. And if you don't believe me, simply look at Gatorade for inspiration. Last year during the Super Bowl and this year during the Super Bowl, Gatorade ran a sponsored lens throughout the US. More people through Snapchat saw Gatorade's branding through this lens than the number of people who actually saw the Super Bowl itself. Now, here's again what Snapchat is not. Snapchat is not another network to sell things. I know that brands, at the end of the day, their end game is to sell product. Our end game as creators, and as marketers too, should be to go ahead and create community. It's a very important distinction. Now, with that being said, this is the audience that you're selling to for the marketers and the brands in the room, and anyone watching the live stream right now. This is who you're selling to on Snapchat. It's many of you in the room. It's this person. It's this person as well. And if you want to engage this audience, believe you me, guys, you cannot be hitting them over the head every single day with a sales pitch. You just can't. So there's 3 challenges that brands face. And this is where, as creators and as marketers, this is exactly where you come into play. The first is, who are they trying to reach? Who are these brands trying to reach and get in front of? The second challenge is, how am I going to reach them? Because as you know, Snapchat is not as intuitive as Facebook or on Twitter. You can't just upload a mailing list and all of a sudden find all these users on there. You actually have to work for it. You actually have to create content to drive people over to want to stay engaged on your Snapchat. And then third is, how am I going to go ahead and keep this audience engaged? So again, start thinking as a creator, this is the problem or the challenge that you really need to help brands solve as you're looking to work with them. Because folks, marketing on Snapchat is not marketing. Let's get rid of this word marketing. It's product storytelling. The most successful brands today, the most successful creators, period, are the ones that are integrating product into their Snapchat stories. I'll tell you this because I've done influencer campaigns. I'm very loyal to the brands that I wear. Olshan shoes, I fly Southwest Airlines, I stay at MGM Resorts. These are the brands that are already embedded and integrated into my DNA as a creator, as a storyteller. So again, product storytelling, not marketing. 3 key points to the content that you create. 1, and this is for brands or creators or anyone who's looking to grow their presence on Snapchat. Your content should be either fun, creative, or educational. It should fall into one of those 3 categories. Fun, creative, and educational. Does anyone here know who this is? DJ Khaled, right? Keys to Success, Bless Up. This is why DJ Khaled gets over 3 million views per snap. And this is why DJ Khaled is one of the most successful Snapchatters out there today. You guys know why? Because he's real. Because DJ Khaled lets you in, and he is fun, he's creative. He's showing you a glimpse that you don't see for many celebrities and you don't see for many people. Which is why I say every brand should be more like DJ Khaled and less like a brand. Let's analyze the word brand for a second. What is a brand? A brand is a logo. That's it. It's a logo. People do not go on social media to talk to a logo. They go on social media to talk to people. Without people, there is no social media. Good luck to all the brands out there if you just want to hang out and post out content, not build community, because no one's going to consume it. That's real talk. So with that being said, going back to why every brand should be more like DJ Khaled, why every creator should be more like DJ Khaled, it's about being real, it's about being authentic. Now here's your role as a creator. First, it's to tell the brand story from your point of view. Again, think back to product storytelling. And you see here an example on the screen. Sean Ayala is a really good friend of mine. And Sean has worked with several notable brands out there, Lexus, San Diego Chargers, amongst other brands out there. And the reason why brands work with creators like yourselves and like with Sean is because they're able to tap into a skill set that most marketers naturally don't have, and that's creative storytelling. That's the ability to draw. It's the ability to create content, keep people engaged. Because trust me, if you give most marketers one of these and you say, just go talk, they don't know what to do. So that is where the creator comes in. So first, tell the brand's story from your point of view. Second is leverage existing social media channels. I get asked from fellow creators who don't necessarily have a big presence yet on Snapchat, how can I work with brands if I'm not all in on Snapchat, but I have a blog with a mailing list. I have a website that has traffic. I have a Facebook page. I have a live stream on Periscope. I have all these people that are watching. Leverage your existing channels, because brands face the same challenge. When a brand joins Snapchat, they don't have any followers. So I advise brands to use their own existing social media channels to drive people over to Snapchat. And as you're doing things like brand takeovers, like you see here the example on the screen with Sephora or with Chegg, you can go ahead and leverage, and you should look to leverage your existing social media channels to drive people over to Snapchat. Same thing with product demos. You see here an example on the screen from Sephora. For Black Friday, they went ahead and they showcased their Black Friday sales a day early exclusively on Snapchat. Now, major keys to Snapchat for every creator in the house. The first is keep your stories between 2 to 3 minutes. Each snap is as long as 10 seconds and it's as short as 1. So keep your stories relatively short, easy to digest, easy to consume. Today's average consumer has a very, very short attention span. And the biggest difference between Snapchat and YouTube and Facebook is because content is short. And that's what keeps people coming back, in addition to originality. The next is look to mix in takeovers with brand content if you're a brand. So if you're a brand and you go on Snapchat every single day and you're just posting product and you're just telling people why they should buy from you, you are going to fail, I guarantee you. So look to tap into your advocates, creators. Look to tap in to how you can have others tell your story for you through your account. The next is keep content fresh and updated often. I get asked this question all the time from fellow brand marketers: how often should we be posting on Snapchat? And my answer to them is always, as long as your content is creative and it's engaging, post every single day. The key, though, is storyboard your content out, and this applies for everyone in the room. Have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And most importantly, keep people coming back for more. Give them the hook. The next is give exclusive VIP offers or run 24-hour flash sales. So go out, Find the brands that you already shop with and you do business with. Find brands out there that need help getting the word out on Snapchat and give an exclusive offer that's only good for 24 hours. And follow that up with coupon codes or tracking URLs that you can measure. Because the biggest thing for a brand, guys, is ROI. Okay, return on investment. They want to know, how is Snapchat going to drive the needle for sales and help them grow as a business? And the way to measure that is by using exclusive tracking URLs. So like if you're Nike, it would be nike.com/snap or snap.nike.com, where anyone that visits that URL you know came from Snapchat. Or give out a coupon code exclusively on Snapchat so you know anyone that purchased from that brand's website came from Snap. And again, make sure that you're leveraging your other social media channels. So if you're a blogger or creator in the room and you have, again, website traffic, you have an email list, leverage those assets so when you do a brand takeover, you can let your mailing list or your website or your followers on other channels know. Most importantly, guys, have fun. We are living right now in one of the greatest eras of mankind, where if you are a brand or if you are a creator, you have an opportunity to shift community management. You have an opportunity to shift how brands tell their story. Because once again, as this younger generation, millennials and Gen Z, start to tap in more and more with Snapchat, they're tuning out less from brands on Facebook. So it's really important that as you're jumping on Snapchat as a brand or as a creator, you're having as much fun as you possibly can, because this, my friends, is not Facebook. The battle between Instagram and Snapchat. So I get asked this question every single day. Should we be on Instagram using stories, or should we be on Snapchat? And the answer is you should be on both. Unless you are compensated by one of these entities, okay, it's about your community. Have loyalty to your community, not the platforms. The platforms can go away tomorrow. Look at Vine, look at Meerkat, look at all these platforms that have gone away. The platforms can go away tomorrow. So use these platforms to build a community. And as long as you're building a community, trust me, your community will follow you on to the next. Spectacles. Make sure you guys get a hold of Spectacles, because there's something that Spectacles offers you as creators and as brands, and that's the opportunity to document from a first-person point of view. This, my friends, is the future. Wearable tech, this is the future of how content can be created. So I highly encourage you to get ahead of the learning curve today. And my last point, friends, is there's no instant ROI on social media. Whether you're a brand or creator, you're gonna get on, you're gonna get frustrated, because right away people aren't necessarily watching and engaging, but you have to be consistent. Consistency wins this game. Look at it as a long-term strategy in which your objective needs to be, how do I grow? How do I engage? And then, once that's done successfully, how do I convert? Thank you, guys. Take care. Quick announcement, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to find me outside in the foyer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carlos. Carlos' talk was brought to you by our partners, Stella and Chewy's, as you can see over there. So big round of applause for our sponsors for that. Thank you. And I could be mistaken, but did Carlos just invite you guys to catch him outside? Because that's the thing I heard the young kids say. Okay, moving on. Please welcome to the stage Jayson and Jayson's partner, whose name is Rudy. I knew it was. To talk about Let There Be Live. Hey guys, that's a cute vest.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Good morning. Good morning, Orlando. How are you guys? I'm Rudy Ellis, and I'm the CEO of Switchboard. And joining the stage with me is my colleague.
Hey guys, my name is Jayson. I'm responsible for growth and partnerships here at Switchboard.
And basically, our mission at Switchboard is pretty simple. It's to make content creators, brands, publishers come up with creative workflows for distribution of live content. Live video, if you haven't known or you've been asleep for the past 2 years, is actually growing, right? It's eating the internet with more apps, more platforms, more destinations. Where do you go? What platform do you pick, right? And so our goal is to make it really simple for our partners to be able to come up with a strategy to effectively pick platforms that are applicable to their audience. And if you think about it, broadcast TV is making that shift, and they're realizing this as well, that they have to deploy, workflows and make it easy to put content where their viewers are already watching. What I'd like to do is take an opportunity to have Jayson walk you guys through a case study with one of our partners that utilizes Switchboard experience.
Yeah, so in this case, one of the questions, right, that I would ask you guys is, what does a creator, a producer, and a brand all have in common, right? The goal to be able to engage with their audiences, their communities, wherever they are, right? And that's really what we do here at Switchboard, is allow for that, that simplification of being able to connect to your different destinations, your different platforms, whether it's Facebook, it's YouTube, it's Twitter. What it really is where your audiences are. And so in this case, one of our partners, Monster Energy here, actually came to us. There's a program that they do every year called FMX High Rollers. And if you think about it, Monster Energy in this case, they are a marketing and brand powerhouse. They're engaging with influencers from different levels of talent, athletes on all different levels, also engaging with different types of events. And so in this case, FMX High Rollers is a motocross event that they do. And what it is there is all these different types of athletes that are a part of it. Typically when Monster Energy comes into this case, they are bringing the idea of producing the event, marketing to that audience, and engaging with their social and marketing teams in this case. And so what we really what we worked on with Monster Energy was actually being able to identify what their strategies are. If we think about this, right, just like everyone in this room, right, we're engaging with our audiences that are online. And so their question was, how do we actually get this impact? How do we take events that are localized or connected to an audience that is physically at a location and engage with our markets wherever they are? And so in this case, what we did is we worked with them to be able to say, let's just not cast a net where we're going to where your audiences are, but let's bring everyone together here. Actually, just like what we're doing here at the show. So at IZEAfest, what we're doing is we're also broadcasting all of this content online. We're going to YouTubes, we're going to Periscopes, we're going to Facebook, but we're not just involving just the IZEAfest brands. We're also going to all the different influencers, the speakers, and different partners that are involved with the event as well. And so in this case, what we did with Monster Energy was come in and be able to identify all their different types of talent. Now, some of the reasons for this is that if you look at the different communities that you're engaging with and where you're engaging with them, you're gonna find that their habits are so incredibly different. And so in this case, how people are engaging with their content between the live, between the on-demand, and the duration of that. What is the interaction? What's the value of being able to do that? And so in this case, what we did was be able to bridge all of this into one simplified scenario. So we were taking the broadcasted content, not only producing the actual show itself, but also being able to do what I kind of refer to as pop-ups or starbursts, being able to take different types of moments that were a part of the live event to be able to bring and create that funnel that's in place. That funnel is driving content or people, viewers, audiences, communities back to areas that they can actually engage with. So not just posting video to a place, but being able to actually drive and be able to bring that value back to the audience. And so in this case, we were using that with specific type of messaging. We were going out to all their different areas, activating this. And so as the event was going on, and different athletes were doing their different heats, in this case, they were really able to have a wide range of engagements, here. Now the thing is, if we look at it, this is the one we have up right here. If we actually look at it, what our strategy was, and this was just a proof of concept for Monster, right? Being able to push this out here. In the live and on-demand content that we did, this event was on a Saturday afternoon. It was in Vegas. It was hot. It was very, very, very dusty. But in this case, we were able to deliver them a result of 1.8 million views, 16 million impressions, 9 million in reach, and over 171,000 engagements. And that was everybody that was involved with it. The brilliant thing about that is that when we cast this net out there and we go through and identify the people, partners, and these areas, we can bring all of that information back together. And so bringing that information back together allows us to be able to not just drive at one spot, but be able to understand what we refer to as velocity, the overall impact from the start to finish and peak. What that allows us then to be able to do as creators, as producers, and as brands is to be able to optimize our experience and find what's actually resonating with our audiences here.
And so how do we do that, right? We are a technology partner with these platforms, with Facebook Live, with YouTube, with Periscope and Twitter, to make sure that we are properly aligned with the solutions that they're providing to their partners and keeping the workflow in the exact same format as if these brands and partners went to these platforms themselves. And so by being this technology partner, it's enabled us to really work with some fantastic clients as well to really enable them to grow and expand and connect outside of just the normal platforms that are out there within their clients. And so our goal is again, to make it really easy for brands and creators to be able to connect, engage, and grow their live viewing audience. Do you have anything you want to add in?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when we talk about engaging with these platforms is that when we think about video and the idea of it being live, live is now, live is what's happening, right? But in this case, when we look at our partners, right, it is making sure that we're optimizing that experience so we can maximize our impact and engagements. So what are these different types of features? These are the questions when you think about the different events that you have that are going on, whether it's one person or it's something that you're having to control or regulate different types of rights that are a part of it, understanding how you can then monetize or do any of these types of things, right? When we look at what we can do with these different technology partners, all of the different types of advancements, the ways to really be able to optimize and allow for that sharing is really what's something that allows for these broadcasts and these events to be successful. So if you guys have any questions, right, we have a booth in the back here. More than happy to talk more, learn about what your idea of being able to broadcast content is, different places, and just see if there's ways that we can unlock that power of that real audience engagement.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, guys. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Thank you very much. Moving on. Just one quick thing. Guess what I have? Somebody's visa. Yeah, check your wallets. You guys can't keep doing this to me. If your name is Lindsay Broadhurst, please come and claim your debit card that I found. Lindsay, you know what? Actually, Lindsay, stand up. Lindsay is the organizer of IZEAfest, so she's a lot, yeah. And it can happen to her. Here you go, my love. All right, please welcome to the stage. Oh, where are we? Yes. Come here, please welcome to the stage Jeff Thelusme and his crew to talk about Pals, a mobile drinking app that makes going out with friends much less stressful. Yeah, we all need that. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yay!
Morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? Have you ever been so sad to where you cry yourself to sleep, or you either cry yourself into a happier place? I know I have. I joined the Marine Corps right after high school with my best friend named Billy. Billy and I had this crazy dream to where we thought it was better to either die for something we believe in than to live for nothing at all. So we always wanted to challenge ourselves because we didn't know what life would bring to us. We never knew what we were expecting. We just had this crazy dreams where we always wanted to change the world, always wanted to do something positive for everyone else. So we went to Afghanistan in 2011. We did everything together. Me and my best friend Billy, everything. It was just me, Billy. Like nothing else matters. Like we did everything. I'll call him in Afghanistan, do everything. Like, yo, Billy, are you safe? Do everything together. I can't even talk about all the stuff we did. So fortunately, like 2014, a day before Valentine's Day, February 13th, I got this phone call that said Billy had passed away. So I spent months crying. I could not believe how my best friend just passed away. I was just with him 2 days prior on this date, February 11th, before all that event happened. So I'm sitting there crying my eyes out, and reading his last text message that says, don't forget about me, kid. Because 2 weeks prior to, or before that, we had a VA appointment. I never went to that VA appointment because I was supposed to go to the VA appointment with my friend Billy. Never went to it. And out of nowhere, like for at least 5 months straight, I was just listening to music, because I could not believe my best friend was gone. I was listening to Tupac, Thug's Mention every day, just because he mentions Billy's name. So every time I hear that song, it's like he wasn't gone anymore, he was with me. So I'm listening to it one day, and I was thinking about the last time I was with Billy. I was talking to him on the phone. He was stationed in California, 29 Palms. I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I was talking to him on the phone. I remember, like, we both were drinking at the same time, talking on the phone, talking about all the stuff we're gonna do after we get out of the military, because we were soon about to become a civilian. Like, what do? We gotta get out. Do we go to school? What do we do? I'm talking to Billy, and then out of nowhere, something hit me. It's like, what if there was this app to where I could have sent my friend Billy one more drink while he was alive? Maybe I wouldn't cry as much as I did, or the pain I wouldn't have felt the pain that bad. I was just crying my eyes out. I was like, oh, maybe this is his way of challenging me, because I've always known I was going to make an app. Always. Ever since I was little, I was like, yo, I'm going to make something legendary. I'm going to change the world forever. And people's like, no, you're not, bro. You know you're not. I'm like, yo, I promise you, bro, I will. So out of nowhere, I was like, yo, I'm going to make this app Pals. People appreciate less stress. Because out of nowhere, when I was thinking about Billy, I was no longer stressed. Everything else, everything in life made sense. I was like, yo, I'm gonna make this app for Billy. People appreciate less stress. I'm gonna change the world. I'm gonna change how friends stay connected, our marketers, like market to the consumers. I'm gonna change this thing forever. I don't know, like Pals came in. I was like, I'm gonna make this app to where you can send your friends a drink anywhere around the world. Doesn't matter where they are. You never have to feel bad for missing your friend's birthday, any special event. You can send them a drink or a food item anywhere around the world to where anything happens, you can always feel connected. So if you go on now, you can send your friend a drink. It might be birthday or any special occasion. You will always feel like you're part of that special event or whatever is going on. I was like, I'm gonna make this app about Pals. I'm gonna call it People Appreciate Less Stress. Yeah. Everything's clear. I called my friend Alex. I was like, Alex, bro, I'm gonna make this app Pals. He's like, yo, did you write it down? I'm like, yeah, I wrote it down, bro. He's like, no way. He's like, I don't see how this thing's gonna work. How can you send friends a drink? I'm like, bro, you can send your friend an Uber right now. Like, what do you mean? Anything's possible. We can go to Mars. Anything's possible. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna make this app. So I left West Palm, moved to Orlando to attend UCF. I was like, if I can make this app in UCF, the biggest school in the nation, if I get this thing going on, I could attack the whole world. I could change everything just from UCF platform. So when UCF started talking about everyone, I was like, how do I make this app? How do I talk to them? And they taught me, like, go to these guys, Lunchable. Yeah. These guys helped me make everything. These guys right here, they're so important to me. Without them, I would not be here right now.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Come check us out. Really, what we have here, real quick, who has iPhones? Raise your hand. Cool. I'm going to give you guys all free iPhones. No, I'm messing with you guys. So check this out really quick. What you can do is download launch cards, and what we have at the table, you can point at any of these targets. It'll indicate how this app even works, and we even have his backstory on how it was created. So look at this, download launch cards. It'll have the promo video, and then you can actually see how the app works before we release the dates. Alfonso, take it away, man.
We're really excited to say as well, Pals is coming out in April for iOS, coming soon to Android right after that. Come check us out, Pals over there. If for no other reason, we have candy. Come check us out, please.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys, thank you very much.
You guys have a great day.
That's Billy right there. That's the picture of Billy. That's the picture of our friend. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Good job, Clicker. Thank you. All right. I love that idea. I want to go to a place and people just send me drinks. That never happens to me. I know it's hard to believe, right? Never. All right, here we go. Thank you, Pals team. We're going to take a short break now. Be back in your seats in about 10 minutes, 10:30, at 10:30 for another Vera Bradley giveaway. See you in a bit. Let's see. Yellow. Whoa. Super light. All right. You lone clapper, you light up my life. Thank you for clapping just then. I saw you. Yeah. Oh, more? Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's clap. Clapping's fun. Everybody likes clapping. Welcome back. We're going to get started with a little giveaway right now. We have got, well, Kelsey has got here some amazing Vera Bradley wristlets. Who has a purse? Okay, who wants a purse? Yes? Gentlemen, this does not exclude you, okay? My dad had a man bag in the 90s. He was very ahead of his time, all right? That's a true story. Okay, young lady, I could not find your number, so if you do get picked, it's gonna be 100% kismet, yeah, random. Here we go. Number 1, 346004. What? Someone? 004? Going once. You don't just raise your hand, get up here. There we go. Big clapping, big clapping. Oh my God, a wristlet. Let me see.
Let's see. Oh, let's see.
Girl, your number says 040. I'm just kidding. No, you win. Good job. Good job. She said, what? You want to pick one? Here you go.
I want to make the crowd wake
Oh,
up.
Kelsey wants to throw them at you, which I am down for. Here we go. We're going to throw them out at you guys.
Hey, we got to do like that side of the room be loud, that side of the room be loud.
Okay, we're going to do this side first. Now, you want to do it by loudness? Okay, be loud. Wow. There you go. There you go. Keep going. Louder. That's it. Oh, that was a good catch, dude. Yep, stand up, be proud. He caught that Vera Bradley. Yep, there you go. Many, many thanks to Vera Bradley, are one of our awesome sponsors, and to Holly and Anna from the team who are actually here at IZEAfest, wherever you are. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. Please welcome to the stage Joshua Machiz. Where are you, Joshua? There you are. To talk about the future is live. Joshua is from NASDAQ. Here you go.
Thanks. Which is the
That's the green button.
All right, I'm not going to throw a purse at you, but I have, I think, a lot of really interesting knowledge to share. I'm a huge fan of authenticity and storytelling, and I really drink the Kool-Aid, but today I'm going to give you actual practical tools to elevate the Facebook Lives that you put out. So, why do Facebook Live over any other platform? Well, it's really about getting the highest organic engagement on Facebook. If you are a marketer or even as a creator, you know that the best way to get organic engagement is live. And so really, it's such a valuable tool, and I think that it's underutilized both by creators and brands. I'm seeing a lot of brands where they use it haphazardly, or creators that use it haphazardly, and it really needs to be given its own professional broadcast, and you need to take it very seriously. So why is it so cool and different? It's all about providing different experiences. It's about that interactivity. It's finding a way to connect with your audience in a new and a unique way. And I think it allows, as a creator, it allows you to get your fans a little bit closer to you. If they're on Snap or any other platform, they can talk back to you, but in that live format where they're actually being able to tell you to do something, having that real connection is very unique, and I think it's a really interesting and different platform, even than other live streaming platforms, because live streaming's been around forever. So why Facebook? 1 in 7 people on this planet are on Facebook. That's a crazy statistic. That means that you're not just reaching the people in the US, you have this incredible opportunity to reach people in places that you'd never imagined. And that is the major opportunity also for brands and for creators. So why is Facebook Live different? Well, your fans get a notification, and that's an important thing, both as a brand, as a creator, is that notification. There aren't many things right now where you can get Facebook to put a notification in people's Facebook accounts, and that's really powerful. So this is, I think, a fact that a lot of people don't know, that the actual engagement, if you upload a video to your Facebook page, if that was a live video, you'd get 10x the engagement. And people on Facebook are tired of the same old thing. It's new, it's different, and I don't think a lot of people are really doing it in the best way that they possibly could. So, to the knowledge bit. If you are a creator and you don't have a ton of money to spend on creating this incredible Facebook Live broadcast quality feed, here's what you need to buy. And this is just like easy, simple. There's this tool called the B-Script. I carry it with me everywhere. It's super easy. You can throw your iPhone into the B-Script and you can put it on a tripod with a light and a little setup. And if you have a branded step and repeat, you can come to a conference like this one and do a Facebook Live broadcast out in the lobby area with some of the other creators and like get a whole bunch of engagement. There's like a huge opportunity right here in this room to collaborate with a whole bunch of creators and do something really fun and expose your brand to other brands. So before you get crazy and start like, oh, I'm gonna do live right this minute, focus. Think about the participatory function that you really need to include the audience. As soon as you don't include the audience, and I see this happen all the time on Facebook Live, where it's two people having a discussion and the audience is just there, that's not live, that's television. That's why television is boring. Like, if you leave that out, you've left out the key component. And don't be a talking head. Nobody wants you to be MSNBC or CNBC. They want you to be you. And it is about that authenticity and like looking like you're being yourself and just like actually having a good time. And then also including visual cues is really important because even though it's Facebook, a lot of people still watch it without sound, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but they do it. And so if you can find a way to add into your live like a fun sign or just like silly stuff, it can really elevate the number of views you're getting and the people that actually wind up turning on their sound. So what works on Facebook Live? Well, these are two examples that really crushed it. This one I loved, which was a T-Rex in Times Square that Little Things did, and basically you just like could tell the T-Rex what to do, and like people were in the comments being like, ask that girl out on a date, T-Rex, and like the T-Rex is like asking a girl out on a date. Like, fun stuff like that really works. And of course, everybody knows the exploding watermelon that like crushed it for BuzzFeed, but not everybody's BuzzFeed, so you gotta come up with your own fun spin on Facebook Live. Level 2, I'm treating this like a video game because like basically that's the way I see it. There's like different levels of like how advanced mode you wanna get with your Facebook Live setup. So this one I actually brought with me here. It's really easy. It's a Sony FS5 camera that I have on a tripod. I have a branded step and repeat that you can throw in a pop-up. You can bring it anywhere. And then there's that little Teradek VidiU. It's not very expensive. It's a small box that you mount on any camera. You could even do it on a DSLR. And then you're ready to go out to Facebook from your page right there. And you can even, it has an app. So you could even like sit, and even if you didn't have somebody to operate the camera, you could go live yourself and like just run your own broadcast. And I think that's one of the things, is this actually makes a huge difference because having that production, that like great video quality, YouTubers have been doing it forever, right? But they haven't really been doing it in the live setting, and I don't see many people doing it. So this applies, I think, mostly to brands, but I always think about the content solar system, thinking that like basically you need to reach, when you're doing Facebook Live, you need to reach outside of your comfort zone. If the brand is Huggies, like people don't want to see some like weird diaper tutorial on Facebook Live. They want like interesting mommy stories with their kids. Like you gotta like reach outside. You have to go far out of your brand's comfort zone. And I do that for NASDAQ every day. I have a show on where I interview business authors, and I call it NASDAQ Reads. And what do business authors have to do with NASDAQ? Well, they're ambitious and they're all about kind of their hustle. And so I kind of pull it back to what are the pillars of the brand and what are the things that you can express in different ways that connect with people on a more like human level and just make it really relatable and fun. All right, so this is level 3. And this is if you're gonna get really advanced mode. Maybe this isn't you're gonna bring it to a conference. Maybe this is like I'm gonna take Facebook Lives and creating my own Facebook Live series very seriously. And so this is a vMix Go. It's basically a broadcast system in a box. And if you buy this, you can hook up 2 or 3 cameras and do multi-camera switching straight out to your Facebook page. You can add in graphics, you can do overlays, all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's a little expensive, but it depends how, as a creator, if you're really gonna take it to the next level. And for a brand, this is sort of like a no-brainer. Like, if a brand doesn't have a video studio right now in this day, it's a little shocking to me because I kind of view every brand that Facebook Live right now is the opportunity to take you from being a brand to being a media company. And if you're not thinking about how you can shift yourself from a brand to a media company, you're missing a huge trend. So level 4, and this is what I do at NASDAQ every day with all of my shows. I produce 80 live videos a month. We had 20 million Facebook Live video views last year. So I use technology called Vidpresso that overlays the vMix. So I've got the vMix running and I've got all these cameras hooked up to it, and I have it in a studio with a step and repeat. That's me and Ariana Huffington. It's really cool. It's like one of my life goals. So basically you hook that up and then you go out into this Vidpresso system, and Vidpresso takes the live link and then it gives you all these cool features to do some really advanced custom graphics and to do live comment display. And it's also really helpful for the hosts because what I do is I set up these 2 laptops where I can give the talent, or if the talent is me, the best comments that are coming in through Facebook. Because one of the things that happens if you have a lot of fans, you get a lot of comments, but a lot of nonsense comments like the, hi, oh, I love you, and like all that stuff. And it's like, that's not actionable. You can't respond to like, oh, hi, it's like whatever. I mean, you can, I guess. So this is kind of like where I see it going, and this is the technology that I'm using now. And I'm not paid by Vidpresso, they're just the provider I chose. There's a million of these providers. But this is the cool stuff that I'm doing with it now that I think is gonna really elevate it. So I can now do live polls during our Facebook Live broadcast. I can literally poll the audience. Anybody who's in the live stream can participate in the poll. I can pop up their comment right on screen and then talk about it as I put their comment up on the screen. So it doesn't just add that second layer, it kind of adds that third layer of, oh, I'm acknowledging you, but also somehow with video production, I'm acknowledging you again. It's really a cool thing, and I think that's where, if people are kind of sick of the basic Facebook Lives where it's you and a guest just talking to each other, you have to elevate it some way, whether it's technology or it's you guys are building Star Wars Legos or something. You just have to, no matter what it is, it needs to be elevated. So this is how I'm using it at NASDAQ. These are some of the shows I've done. Basically, I did a kitty adopt-a-thon where I brought a whole bunch of kitties into NASDAQ, and then it was National Cat Adoption Day, and so we live adopted cats on Facebook Live. I had thousands and thousands of people watching. It was my most popular video last year. And people go, well, what does NASDAQ have to do with cats? And there's a fresh pet food company called Freshpet that is listed on NASDAQ, and they have a pet thing. So it's a perfect tie-in for me. So I don't I'm all about, seamless connections, but, every time people say things are not connected to a brand or the connection's too far, I say, screw them. I mean, go for it. I feel brands need to get out of their zone and need to do stuff that is just off the wall, because social media is fun, and if you're doing things that just aren't, you know, exciting or fun, it's like, why bother? So these are the shows that I'm doing right now for my brand. I do these NASDAQ exclusives where I interview cool people like Ariana Huffington. I had the cast of X-Men Apocalypse, and I did like a full 360 Facebook Live video, which was really cool. And then I also had the Fat Jewish, who I love. He's amazing. And then for our content, for what we do on a daily basis, we have 2 companies ring the bell every day. And those 2 companies, they're not used to getting a ton of media. I mean, they get picked up on the television for all of like 5 seconds when you see the bell on TV. So that CEO doesn't really get a ton of exposure. But now with Facebook Live, I have that CEO interviewed both at the opening bell and the closing bell, and all of their friends, relatives can watch. Like, it just adds to the exposure, and for our companies, it's an incredible experience. We started another show called The Millennial Report, which is really about kind of millennial money issues. And I think, you know, people think that millennials aren't thinking about their future, that they aren't planning, and that they aren't like saving. And I just think that's like super rude. And I honestly, like, I do. Like, I think it's like, oh, like, right. Like, you know, the generation before us, like, they caused the debt crisis and all these things, but it's our fault that we're not saving. So the show is really just about that, and we interview like different companies that offer financial products that are geared towards millennials, like cool investment products where you can invest in your like 5 favorite video game companies, like cool things that actually turn investing and make it a little bit more fun, a little edgier. The NASDAQ Reid show is my business book authors. I had Tim Ferriss, who's like my super icon, I loved him. And then we do a daily market update where every day on Facebook Live, we have a whole team of market experts that I interview, and we like talk about the markets, and we're like, oh, this is what's happening in the market today. So if you follow NASDAQ on Facebook, you could tune in and ask questions about what's happening in the stock market. Or, you know, is Donald Trump what he's doing with today affecting X stock? Like, it's just fun stuff, and we're actually there being human beings, actually responding to people and telling them, you know, this is what we think. I started another show called Tech Talk where we unbox really cool products. Why is NASDAQ unboxing products? Well, we're the home of tech. Oculus is owned by Facebook. You know, Microsoft, they have a HoloLens. We have all these cool products that are made by all of our companies, and it's just a great way to showcase them, and who doesn't love an unboxing video? And I think live unboxing videos are really fun. And then finally is we launched a show called NASDAQ Disruptors, where basically we interview like private companies that have really cool, innovative things that they're working on. And it's perfect content because our followers, they're entrepreneurs. They're people who are hustling, that have their own hustle. And to see people who are coming up, doing their thing and like actually getting somewhere is really profound. And the fact that Facebook has given all of us this incredible opportunity to create our own television channels, I just think it's really epic. And this is my channel, and this is just the beginning of my channel. But I hope you all start your own channels. Thanks. Any questions? Does anybody have any crazy questions that I can help with? Sure.
Wait, we got you.
Oh.
Stand up though, because Mama can't throw that far, okay? Nice and slow.
Oh, that's cool.
Great. I just wanted to ask, how long do you think videos should be, like Facebook Live videos?
Oh, that's a great question. So I go at minimum 10 minutes. And the reason is because if you don't go at least 7, you're missing the tune-in, right? Because everybody gets your notification when you go live, and if you don't give them enough time to join the conversation, and that doesn't mean you should do like 7 minutes of nothing, like, or, because I've seen that a lot where like people will put up like we're gonna be live in 10 minutes. I think it's just like, screw that, just go with it and like keep going, and like, you know, they'll join when they join. I think that's part of the live experience, is like when you're in, and if what you missed, you missed. So like, that's, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. chuck him that giant microphone.
Hello.
Hey.
Wow, this is really cool.
It's very cool.
First of all, thank you so much for speaking. You're awesome.
Oh, thanks.
My question is, as far as like surveying, do you survey like your actual viewers, like do any research, get any questionnaires, just so you can see how you can tailor towards your target better?
That's a really good question. So I actually take a lot of user feedback right from the lives. Like sometimes they'll be like, oh, this one was too long, or like this is like not what I want to hear. And we take it and we like honestly, but we should do more surveying. That's a really, really good point. And I haven't done a user survey yet, but I think I'm taking your advice right now.
Awesome,
There you go. Awesome. I just wanted to touch the box. So in the age of kind of oversharing on the internet, to that end, are there any kind of topics or just content that Facebook Live you should just stay away from?
Oh, should you stay away from, you know what I don't like? I see a lot of like where they Facebook Live, like a press conference. Like I think anything where it's almost, you know you're not involved and it's like sort of third party, it's kind of boring. Like I think the opportunity is there for you to host your own talk show if you want to. Like why do something that's like just, I don't know.
So like less C-SPAN?
Yeah, less C-SPAN.
Gotcha.
I don't want to see C-SPAN on Facebook Live. I just go to C-SPAN. Not that I want to go to C-SPAN. Any other questions? All right, guys, thank you.
All right, where's our speaker box? Where'd that thing go? Yeah? Do you mind tossing it back on stage? Okay, here we go. All right. You guys want to pick up he threw it, I caught it, and then it just kind of fell. I don't know, it was a great catch. All right, guys, big round of applause for Joshua, that's awesome. I gotta say, I'm continuously impressed with the level of brands and speakers that we have, and I hope you guys are too. Do you have a favorite? Has there been any favorites that you have? Yeah, who? Me? You're kind. I'll pay you the $20 later. Thank you. Any favorites? Yeah? No? You? What was your favorite? The Snapchat? Carlos? Yeah, he was great. Snapchat was good. There he is right there. Look at him. He's so happy. Yay for Carlos. Any others? What was your favorite? You want to watch NASDAQ? Yeah, it's pretty neat. I didn't know about that either. But now I do, we all do, so there's no excuse. Oh my God. The couch fairies have come and gone. Thank you, couch people. You guys are the best. Big round of applause for our helpers there. All right, moving on. Whew. Please welcome to the stage Selena Kohng, Chris Ashbach, Lee Gordon, Paula Rollo, Melissa Hunter, and our moderator Dayvee Sutton for cracking the content code. Clap, clap, clap. Yeah, thank you. Hello.
No, I'm good.
I'll go over here.
Fantastic.
Hey, party people. Okay, so I'm Dayvee Sutton, and we're going to be cracking the content code on what you should be posting and how, and giving you some key nugget strategies for 2017. I'm going to first tell you about me. I'm Dayvee Sutton. I'm a traditional broadcast journalist. Worked many years as a sports anchor for a handful of networks, and left that to do some of the things that you guys are doing. So now I have a production company. I create everything from documentaries to segments back to some of the places that I worked with before. If you go to the airport, sit down at the gate, you can look up at CNN, you can see me do some travel tips there. I have a contract with USA Today, and I create travel videos for them, and also do a lifestyle blog. But we're gonna go down the line, because this is a very diverse panel, and so we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Paula Rollo. I am a blogger. I've been blogging for about 12 years, back when it was not really a thing to do this for a living. And about 4 years ago, I realized, like, oh, people are making money doing what I do. I should try that. So I tried that, and my family was like, it's fine if you fail, because nobody really understands our industry, but I didn't, and it's my full-time job now, and I run 4 different sites and just love social media and blogging and everything that we get to do as creators.
Hi, I'm Selena. I play with food. That's my job title. So any of that, like. Oh, okay. Is that better? Okay. Thanks for that call out. All that cute food you see on Instagram and Pinterest that you're like, I don't have time for that. I'm the one who has time for that. So I've been featured on BuzzFeed and Martha Stewart. I'm a contributor for Family Fun magazine, and my work has eventually led me to a full-time social media content job at a major beauty company that I'm sure most of you shop at. So.
My name is Lee Gordon. I'm the Director of Global Public Relations for Mercury Marine. I'm not sure how we haven't met in our past. We have very similar. I was a television news anchor for 15 years for CBS and Fox, and I was the guy, I was the NFL on Fox sideline reporter. I was the one that was always asked to interview the coach that was losing by 25 at halftime as we went in. So at some point, I'm sure our paths will have crossed. But I flipped the switch over into the public relations side. And now I run all the public relations and communications for Mercury Marine. And Michelle was up here yesterday talking about all the different marketing campaigns, but I take the other side of it. I do the PR side. So content creation is all we do every day.
Melissa? Hi, I'm Melissa Hunter. I am the co-host of the Mommy and Gracie Show, me being the mommy in Mommy and Gracie Show on YouTube. 725,000 subscribers and growing. My background originally, I was an operations executive in Manhattan for a large commercial real estate firm, so I'm sort of a numbers and analysis and process geek. So about 3 years ago, I started the channel because I have MS and I had to retire from the commuting to New York life. And my daughter said, let's start a YouTube channel. And I was like, oh sure, that'll be fun, something for us to do. It took off, and then I was like, ooh, there's a business. There's a whole thing going on back here. So I got very into the business side of YouTube and content creation, and I launched a company 3 years ago called Family Video Network, where I curate together family-friendly, kid-friendly, brand-safe content creators, and we collaborate together, and we work together with brands, and so it's become a whole new world for me.
I'm Chris Ashbach from Dan330.com. You may have seen our website around. We have about 2.5 million social media followers across all the different platforms. A couple things we've really focused on was working with other bloggers to create a community of really good content, because we found that it was really hard for us to make enough to have 2.5 million people consume all the time. So please check us out for that. We always love guest bloggers, that kind of thing. But one of the things that we've done for a long time was the virtual reality and the images, even back to the 90s before this hit the whole social media scene. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So, but it's really one of those opportunities that's really cool, because you heard about the short form visual content. It's wonderful short term visual content, and it's also a great way to develop trust. When you look at a building or a facility or something, it's easy to take a picture looking in one direction and make it look really good, but to have to set it up and show the entire room, the entire facility, or the entire venue, you see everything. And it really is a way to develop trust, and we heard about that a little bit this morning. So keep that in mind when you make content, because even some of those leading edge things really can develop a lot of things you've already heard.
Did he tell you he was a pilot? I don't know if you heard that part.
My side job is I'm an airline pilot, but.
I told you, diverse panel here. So there's a lot of things pulling at consumers of ways that they can receive content, and we call that consumer ADD. And what I want to start this off with, Selena, what is the 1, 2, 3 step way of how you evaluate what content to push to your audience?
That's a good question. I would say that I always start with what kind of value can I bring. It's not so much like how many numbers can this hit. It's more like how can I, make sure that my followers have like a valuable takeaway, something that can inspire them to create content on their own. And so a lot of things that I do is a matter of, taking something that's very common, something that's very mundane, something that's everyday, and making it unique. Pretty much something that you might feel like you've already formed an opinion about, whether it's like a kid thinking that he can't eat broccoli and then realizing that he can because it looks totally different. I mean, that's the spirit behind what I do. It's that creative drive and that creative take on something that you think you already have an opinion about. And I think that surprise and that unexpected delight of seeing something in a creative way is really my goal with every post.
Lee, from marketing, first as like coming from broadcast and then as a marketing, you probably have a good way of knowing how to understand what the audience may watch. How do you get your audience's attention?
Well, you know, the way we do it now is you know, try to promote. Boating is fun. Buying a boat is not a logical decision. You don't wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm going to buy a boat today. But it is fun. You saw that video yesterday, and what we try to do at Mercury is try to really think about the news philosophy. It's every single day is we go in and we have our production meeting, and what kind of content do we want to create? And you know, every single one of us, we've got 6,000 employees, every single one of us is a content creator, so it doesn't have to be just the marketing team, it doesn't have to be the PR team that is doing this. Every single one of you who's wearing one of the red Go Boldly hats, hopefully is a content creator for us. We strategically did that for a reason, but we try to determine what do people want to see? And it can't just be about the features and benefits of the product. People want to see somebody that looks like you, that looks like me, that looks like Chris, that looks like out on the water and enjoying time with their family. And if they can see that in the content that we create and they go, I get it, I have that aha moment. It's not just about we're faster or better torque or things that nobody really understands. It's on a Sunday afternoon, I can go out, spend time with my wife, my kids, my family, and enjoy it, and Mercury is what makes that happen. That's the kind of, that's where we all layer everything up to.
You get them to forget all the logic.
Forget
just go
your
buy
life,
a boat.
just go have fun
buy
out
a
there.
boat.
Yeah.
Melissa, you push a lot of content, and then you talked about the network you have. What is your strategy secret for like what you need to prioritize for your audience?
I think the most important thing, especially because we are a family video network, is to keep our integrity first and foremost. So always to keep in mind that our audience is very heavy on the kids side and very heavy on the mom side. And so it really needs to be something that we believe in, whatever content we're creating. And then the second thing is that you have to be having fun. You can't fake it in video. People can see. People can tell if your child is repeating something you told them to say, or if it's authentically coming out of them. You can see in a family vlog if a family is pretending to have fun at a restaurant, or if they really did enjoy themselves at the restaurant. So I think, using our integrity, and when brands come to us and they approach Family Video Network, we try to match up with channels that would really enjoy that experience. And sometimes a brand will say, no, but we want this channel because they're bigger. And I'm like, you know what? They're vegan, so they're not going to go to your restaurant. You want the real right match. So I think that's really important for creators to keep in mind and brands to keep in mind, is that there needs to be a really legitimate, authentic match that has integrity, and then that's where the magic happens.
Chris, what would you say your strongest and most successful kind of technology that you use, and how did you discover that?
Well, that's an interesting question, because the technology is always changing, it's always there, but the core at the base of it, it's always about touching people. You have to reach them and touch them on a level that they are affected. And when someone reacts emotionally to something that you do, you know you succeeded. That's a big part of creating trust with your followers and influencing them. If I give you information and it's just garbage, who cares? It's a waste of my time, it's a waste of your time. We shouldn't do that. Let's make sure that as we make content, we're using whatever technologies are there appropriately to reach people, so that we are being effective and purposeful of what we do.
But what is your
my
personal,
favorite?
Yeah.
You know what? Personally, I really like the live streaming, and I really like not when it's you said it very well. It has to be authentic and real. People know when you're faking it, and that's when you have to get out there. Live streaming is probably my favorite right now, followed by the VR, and then obviously the blogs and the content, traditional.
Paula,
social.
you have 8 books, and you're a blogger, and you teach bloggers to do things, and so writing is your core, but you have an interesting way of how you kind of made a pivot or adapted in incorporating video into what you do.
Yeah, so I do a little bit of Facebook Live in groups that I manage, and so
I've kind of let webinars move to Facebook Live. And so I'll just bring people into a private group and then host live videos. I kind of let them know when they're happening. I recently did an affiliate masterclass for 4 weeks. And so people knew 8 p.m. on Tuesday, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be talking to them in a very laid back, authentic way. They know that I just put my kids to bed, so they might hear them yelling in the background while we're talking about affiliates, and it's okay. And it's really fun just to be able to connect on that personal level with the bloggers that I'm teaching and be able to like know that I'm in the same position they're in, balancing kids and blogging and business, and it's been really fun.
Melissa, so I know your core is YouTube, but can you talk a little bit more about the technologies that you use? And she creates a show that runs 6 days a week. Talk about your strategy on producing. How often do you shoot? That seems very daunting.
It does sound very daunting, but it actually, we usually film it all in one day. So originally we were trying to film, my daughter and I review toys, mostly dolls. And to say we review is really not accurate. It's more a show about the two of us being idiots, and there happen to be toys involved. So our rally cry is #SoProfesh, because we never do retakes, we drop things, I say the wrong name of the doll, we break it, whatever. We pick 1 day a week, and we just go down, we have a little studio in our basement that we set up, and we just film it all, like without stopping. And you know, usually by about like the fourth or fifth video, we're getting slap happy, and so those are always the good ones. And then we do incorporate sometimes while we're in the in-between, because we sort of show things in their packaging so people know what to look for on the shelf, and then we unbox it, and normally we cut there and we take it out of the box while we're, you know, not filming. What we started doing was we started live streaming the part where we're unboxing. So they have this sort of, the people who catch us on the live stream are seeing a behind the scenes of a video that we're making, and they really seem to enjoy that. And it, you know, so we're like, oh look, we've got extra content to give them through this. So that's really interesting, is how you can sort of use a live component to augment what you already do. And now what's really exciting is on Wednesday, if you have the YouTube app on your phone, you can now live stream directly from your phone on YouTube, which was a long time coming, but it is awesome.
So since she talked about live stream and Chris talked about live stream, let's make a pivot to live streaming in different ways. Because Selena, you live stream on Instagram and talk about how you have incorporated that. And what I'm curious about is like, how do you measure if that's good for your audience? Because it goes away into infinity, you know.
Right. Well, I think that the baseline thing before you even start thinking about live streaming or Instagram stories is having that trust with your fan base. I think having something that they know that they can always look forward to, that they know that they can expect from your channel. And I think that trust is so fundamental to the fact that it makes them want to have a relationship with you. And that's really what we do. We're creating relationships. And I think it's so important to remember that it's about that and not so much the product or the contract, but it's about how can I maintain that trust in that relationship, and how do I give like teasers and, you know, little things, little extra things that I already know that my fans are interested in, whether it's about, you know, my technique or whether it's about, you know, the kind of material that I'm working with. So knowing the fans and giving them what I know they're expecting and then a little bit more has always worked out for me.
Are you able to actually have measure that to see? I mean, I guess you can see the views, but are they giving you feedback to saying? I mean, on Instagram, can you see the views for live stream? I don't think you can. I mean, as it's happening, but then it goes away.
It does, but then the thing is that, but the nice thing is that you can see the engagement afterwards. There's always a boost in engagement in terms of total reach on your static posts afterwards. So that's always something to keep in mind. Instead of just narrowing your scope onto that one channel, you see it's kind of the ripple effects of that afterwards, and just writing that and being able to keep going, I think, is really key.
Lee, from a marketing perspective, how do you guys incorporate it at Mercury Marine?
Well, Facebook Live is the one we use the most. So a good example is next week is the Miami Boat Show, which for us, that's our Super Bowl. That's when we have some of our major product launches. And so the show will start at 10 o'clock, and we'll have a nice gathering at our booth at 10:15 when we do these product launches. But you're talking about 100, 200 people who will get there. Now, the key to what we try to do is, the message is, the hierarchy is, bring Miami to the world. And that's what Facebook Live does for us. So, our customers and boaters in Australia and Singapore and California can see what we're doing right there, right now. So we'll have, 3 or 4 different, we've got 35 different social media channels all across the world. So it's not easy to maintain them all, but we use Facebook Live because we found that's the single best way for us to get the word to the masses. And we don't measure, I don't like impressions. For us, that just doesn't matter. It does not matter for us. What matters is, who have we reached, how have we reached them, and can we continue to build that reach? Because we get measured on our P&L statement, not impressions, not social followers. It doesn't matter if we have 100,000 Facebook followers or 1 million followers. If the sales aren't here, then that's all vanity metrics for us. But we do want those people. But for us, Facebook Live is the best way, just to, how do we reach the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time?
Now let's talk about gadgets and gizmos aplenty, virtual reality, augmented reality, and 360 video. So, Chris, you use VR, we use VR, and then one of the companies I have a contract with, USA Today, uses VR, and they did a live VR live stream during the inauguration with 3 cameras, and they switched between the cameras, and I think it changed the game on what you can expect from like big networks. But then on a smaller scale, how can you guys as content creators and brands use virtual reality and 360? First of all, the difference between VR and AR is virtual reality. There's a booth back there. I encourage you to go take part of it, but that's when you are immersed in the world. And augmented reality, the best example I can give you is Pokemon Go. So it's real life. You see the picture of real life, and then you place the virtual characters on top of real life. I started off using 360 video for my production company, and I have a popular video that is about Israel, a video tour of Israel. And I decided to change, because you have to time out how long your viewer is going to take the tour. They're going to look up, down, and all around. Is that a 10-second clip? Is that a 30-second clip? So now what we do on my lifestyle website's Facebook page is every Thursday we post a 360 video. So you can take your time and explore the scene, and we put posts up and down, all like little notes of like what the tour might be. But Chris, you use 360 or virtual reality?
Well, we do both. And the biggest thing to me, it gives you an opportunity to take a reader or anybody and stick them somewhere. It's not just a picture, like a postcard. I mean, a postcard's great, but being able to experience something by looking around and hearing the sounds around you and be able to follow, maybe that bird is kind of cool. And you look across and you follow it. You get to experience what it's like being in that area. You control what you see, not the person who designed it. Because I think a lot of times people have a purpose to what they're writing for, and maybe it's to sell a place or to do something, and they very purposely crop things out of a picture. You can't do that. And I was talking about, it develops trust that way. It's just a better experience, and it's a good way to develop that trust. I really like that concept. It's a great technology.
So here we are again with now there's a whole bunch of things that we're juggling on pushing to our audiences. So Paula, how do you adapt to what your audience may want, something that you may want to try? How do you decide what you're going to prioritize to push?
I think for me, one of the most important things is starting with who my audience is. In the blogging community, there's a lot of talk about what your niche is, and people will be like, oh, I do food, I do parenting, I do this. And when I kind of realized that you could go broader than that and say, who is my reader? What age are they? What demographic are they? How much money do they have? When I really zoom in and define this person, that allows me to then start solving problems for them. And every piece of content I create is around what this person who's, a young mom who has kids age 7 and under, she's on a budget, she's strapped for time. That tells me all of these things I can write about, instead of just saying, well, I have a parenting blog and I only write about parenting. suddenly I'm writing quick and easy recipes, and I'm writing all of these other things that wouldn't necessarily fit in a boxed-in niche. And so that kind of, it helps with working with brands as well, because I'm able to go to a brand and instead of saying, yeah, I run a parenting site, I'm able to say, the target demographic that you're trying to reach is this, and that's who I talk to every day. And it's really broadened my readership and allows me to do a lot more than just
That's a good way to manage requests. Selena, how do you manage kind of like requests from audiences?
In terms of
so like
creating content for
you might have some of your engaged readers say like, oh well, now that you went that, I want you to go to Disneyland and do this. You know, like how do you kind of manage that and still keep those loyal followers?
Oh sure. I think it's a matter of how I write as well. Not only in terms of like the visuals that I produce, but how I write. I write very much like I'm talking to my friends. I'm very self-deprecating, and I think that that sort of disarming of like, hey, you know, I do professional things. I've written for and I've created content for all these companies, but at the same time, like, you know, I haven't given my kids like a bath in like a week. You know, like there's just something very personal and very relatable in what I do, and I think even when I do high-level content, I offset that. So however your personality is, in whatever way you know that you connect with your audience best, I think working that into the content and making sure that that relationship is preserved, I think is so important.
So I call this my, like, I asked the panel before to give us like one big golden nugget takeaway that they've personally experienced that they can provide. So I'll start with Lee. What would you say kind of like, now that you've discovered, if you're somebody that's creating content, and now that you've discovered what you're actually good at doing, and I'll give myself an example. I've always loved storytelling, and then I've loved video when I was younger. So then I had to work on that skill set. And now that I have this skill set, how do I make people watch, right? What would be your secret?
I think make it about, like you said, make it about the people. So using an example that we have, so we have this joystick piloting control, which you can literally drive a boat with a joystick. It's like playing a video game. So if we create a video or a piece of content about all the nooks and crannies of this, it's okay for a box of people. But then we took it a step further and we found a guy he's legally blind, he has cerebral palsy, he cannot drive a car, he loves boating, but this is his freedom, this is his life, this is his livelihood. And he was fortunate enough to let us tell his story, and through that came out of this, okay, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to tell the people's stories. And the one thing that we try to do is every piece of content we put out, I don't want anybody from Mercury in it. I don't want our president in it. I don't want unless it's a press release about a specific product, it's got to be about the people telling our story. And that's the only way to really have that authentic look, is if other people are telling our stories, because if it's just us screaming it out loud, it's just another brand doing it. So it's got to be about the people, for the people, told by the people.
I mean, that's the biggest thing that I do some courses teaching marketers about storytelling, and I'm always saying, start with the people's story. It's always a people's story. For somebody like you, who, when you started out, you were just being silly with your daughter and you made a show. What do you think from your experience and probably the up and downs, how did you get people to watch?
I think it was the silliness, the rawness, the realness of our content, and I think that's, especially if you want to create video content, and as much video content as we create long term, I think you have to be yourself, whoever that is, because you can't fake it for that long. You can't fake it that much. And so I think it was, and now they've watched my daughter grow up. She was 8 years old. She was a little squeaky 8-year-old. And she's 13 now. She's almost 5'7". She looks like a full-grown woman now. I mean, it's a huge difference, you know, and people have grown up with her. And so, you know, I'm not going to, we don't create content the way we did when she was 8 years old. So I think acknowledging the reality that over time, you know, if you're in this for the long haul, you're going to change, your interests are going to change, and just be really raw and honest with the people that are watching you, and they'll stay with you. I mean, some may leave, and some might go find another cute little redhead who's a little girl, but a lot of them stay with us because they're sort of growing up with us and changing with us.
What about you, Chris?
Well, I think these two are exactly right. Lee talked about telling people stories, and you were telling your story, and that's really what being authentic is about. If you're an influencer or a content creator, so much of it is just telling your story. Be you, live a fun life, do things that are interesting to people, tell them about it, live stream it, show them what you're doing, let them relate, bring them into that. And that's how you get that authentic content, and it fits both on the brand side and on a creator side. That's where I'd go with it.
And then from that point, like you might have everybody developed an organic audience. Did anybody else use any other marketing strategies to kind of push to get those potential viewers or readers? Anybody? No?
Just like out of the box ways to get readership. I guess like one of the things I really love about our industry is how you're on your own, you kind of wing it and figure things out, but also there's so much collaboration with other people. And I think people in not influencer marketing don't really get that. Like, these are your competitors, why are you working with them? But working together and kind of saying like, hey, she's great at images, and that's something I'm awful at. Like in real life, I'm terrible at images. But I'll pull on somebody that's great at something and say, I have this to offer you. You can do some images for me. I'll help promote because I have a bigger following over here. And you kind of get free work out of each other, and you get the benefit of working with other people in an industry that can get a little bit lonely when you're sitting alone in your office by yourself 8 hours a day. So I think that can be really fun and really unique about our industry, and you can kind of lift each other up and get more views for everyone.
Okay, so now we have 5 minutes for questions. Does anybody have a question? Because we can do the box.
Where is the box?
The box is right there.
Well, they took about it from us.
Huh? No?
Nope.
Oh, yeah. Can we have the box?
Where is the box?
Oh, I don't have it.
I don't have the box.
No, he has it.
Oh, he's got it right there over there.
Bring the box.
You could throw it to him. In the front row right there.
Front row.
No, you have to throw it. That's the fun of it.
Yes. So there are some of us in the room that kind of work at the behest of clients and companies. And when it comes to things like augmented reality, virtual reality, they tend to be a little more costly than your average, ways to feed content out there. So do you guys have any tips as far as like kind of being able to move the conversation forward in an attempt to get client buy-in to do things like augmented reality and virtual reality?
Yeah, show them an example of what you've done. And then, of course, show like the engagement after and like there was success and that. But I mean, I guess the proof is in the pudding is the way to kind of show them like this could be you, What have you done? Because you actually sell to clients.
Yeah, first of all, I'd say the product has to sell itself. I mean, if I'm trying to explain to you why something's really good, you can take that or leave it, round file it in the garbage if you want. But, you have to have a good product. Show people that, hey, this is really cool. Let them experience. If it's something they're interested in, then you can. As far as, I've been able to do that successfully with hotels, VRBO properties, that kind of stuff, because I show them, look, you can take a picture and let someone actually stand on your deck and see what it's actually like on your deck and look over the lake and see how beautiful it is. They can look around and see it for themselves. And I said it's a lot more effective than just showing a picture of a lake in a picture in front. So I've been able to do that kind of thing just by showing examples and just being upfront with what the products are. And that's been very effective for me.
Anyone else? Oh. That was a handoff, not a toss.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. This is directed for Paula. Yes, Paula. As a professional blogger, like, what would you say is the most difficult obstacle when it comes to like not starting a blog, but starting a specific post? Like, how do you know it's the right content? How do you know it's viewable, or do you just go with your gut feeling? Let's do this.
Let's do this. I'm a let's do this type of person. I like to experiment a lot. So if I have an idea, I'm just going to go for it. And if it epically fails, then I figure out why and I try the same thing but slightly different. And I think that there's a lot of strength in that. If you just succeed the first time you try something, you've learned nothing and you probably can't replicate it. So just kind of giving yourself permission to go forward and fail a whole bunch of times until you figure it out. You're gonna end up way farther ahead than somebody who just lucked into a viral post right out the gate.
Thank you.
Okay. We have time for one more.
Am I tossing this?
No, I don't think so. Okay, so with everything, there's a call to action. So when you create content, you should always, whether it's a Instagram post or a blog or a video, at the video, what do you guys say? Like, subscribe. If you like this video, subscribe. All of us are in your session panel, so if you like us, you can subscribe and follow us. Thank you guys for your time today, and moving on to the next one, I suppose. Thanks.
Couches. Thank you. All right, we got one more session left here before our lunch break. Our couch movers, they look like models. They're gonna come and, oh my God, it's like a runway. Are gonna come remove the couches. I really wish they wouldn't, because I wanna lay down. Just kidding, I'm full of energy. And you guys should be. Does anyone have any more of those energy shots left in their bag that they can just throw up here? Just one, just real quick. No one? No? Oh, you're looking? Nothing, Felicia? No? All right. You're all dead to me. Just kidding, love you guys. A quick reminder about the badges that you need for tonight's party. Everybody remembers the badges, you need those for tonight. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Finding where the bathroom is? If you lost something? Oh, you know, I still have that silver earring. Is anyone missing that silver earring? I'll just keep it. The one earring look is coming back. I'm gonna make sure it comes back. And speaking of coming back, please welcome my friend Grant Train. Here he is. Yeah, you can clap, it's okay. Grant will be talking about thoughts and prayers, social media, and crisis communication.
Thank you, V. Hey, everyone. Enron, ExxonMobil, Lance Armstrong, Volkswagen. What do all these brands have in common? They've all experienced a crisis, and it's critical that every brand has a strategy to handle crisis when it strikes their brand. As the Director of Communications for the Florida Transgender Alliance, it's my job to act as spokesperson and effectively deliver my message. And that is never as critical as when crisis strikes. So what we're going to do today is take a look at some brands that have gone through crisis, see how they've responded, and see what we can learn. So what is a crisis? Any situation can spiral into a crisis if it's not handled well. And there can be small crises and big crises. So if you're Jennifer Lawrence and you trip on your way to get your Academy Award, small crisis. Probably talk about it in the post-press conference, but it's okay. But if you're Samsung and your new cell phone keeps exploding, all hands on deck. And this is where your spokesperson comes in. Your spokesperson is the main voice, the single voice for your brand, and they have to have media training. They have to be comfortable in front of a camera. They have to be able to express empathy. They also have to have authority so that they can convey how seriously the company is taking the problem. And it's also important that your message goes wherever your audience is. So it can't just be television and it can't just be print media anymore. It has to be social, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. If you have an audience, your message has to be there. So we talked about small crises and big crises. Let's take a look at a small crisis that stayed a small crisis because of a good response based on the brand. So the Red Cross is one of the most respected charities in the United States. Here's an example of a tweet where their social media manager accidentally tweeted a personal tweet on the official channel. Hey Ryan found 2 more 4-bottle packs of Dogfish Head Midas Touch beer. When we drink, we do it right. Hashtag getting slizzard. So the brand checked in pretty quickly and they responded in a lighthearted way. So less than an hour later, they respond with, We've deleted the rogue tweet, but rest assured, the Red Cross is sober and we've confiscated the keys. So this response does a couple of things really well. So humor's one, but also they reacted really quickly. They identified that there was a problem, developed a response, and deployed it in less than an hour. They also fixed the problem. The problem was just a rogue tweet, so it's as easy as deleting it, but they did not make the mistake of deleting it and not talking about it. Screen caps are forever, and the internet has a long history, or it has a long memory. So they replied with an update telling their followers what happened. And this is an example of what's called a proportional plus response. And this is a small crisis, but you're going to see this as a repeated theme as the crises grow larger. So here we're going to take a look at a FedEx customer's security footage as a package is delivered. So this video spread like wildfire, and in the first 24 hours, over 200,000 people viewed this video. And by the next day, that monitor had been chucked over that fence almost 2.5 million times. So what did FedEx do? They responded quickly on Twitter. So within the first 24 hours, they addressed that they had spoken to the customer and made it right. They also expressed their shared outrage and frustration with the level of service that had been, that their employee had given. So this type of empathy is critical in crisis communication. Now, they wisely chose to mirror the platform where the original crisis occurred. So within 48 hours, they responded on YouTube, and they had a vice president come on and apologize and vigorously denounce the behavior of the employee. So FedEx hit a couple of key strategies of crisis communication. They used a high-profile vice president, so they explained to their customers that they were taking the problem seriously. They also apologized and made it right to the customer. And then they used an outsized response to say that we're going to take this incident, use it as a training opportunity, and this is never going to happen to anybody else. Now, while that problem only impacted one person, it had a large audience. Chipotle had a much bigger problem in the end of 2015, where they had an E. coli outbreak that affected over 20 restaurants and 50 people got sick. So they wisely recognized that that type of crisis demanded a strong response. And so they chose to put their CEO out front, put him on live television, and he apologized. And when apologizing, it is critical to be sincere. You have to actually care about the people that were impacted, and you have to mean it when you say you're sorry. When we heard earlier today about outrageous trust, and a crisis is really just a breach of trust between a brand and its customers. So in the example of Enron and other companies that couldn't come back from a crisis, it's because their behavior was unethical or intentional, and the apologies were not believable, and the public did not accept them. But Chipotle did a great job. They also focused on accountability and addressing the fears of their customers. And their social media team made it their job to respond to nearly every person that mentioned them on social media, telling them where the incident occurred, that it was isolated, and that it was still safe to eat at their restaurants. They also, again, with the outsized response, they knew that just bringing their restaurants back up to code would not repair the eroded trust that had occurred. So they knew they needed to take it to the next level, and they implemented a food safety program that would go beyond all regulatory requirements and become the new gold standard. So they would live up to their slogan of food with integrity. Now, last summer, Southwest Airlines suffered a critical failure in one of their IT network components, and it affected 250,000 passengers. Over 2,000 flights were canceled, and for 12 hours they had zero access to any of their customer-facing services like booking or check-in or rescheduling flights. So for those 12 hours, they had to decide how to interact with their customers. So they wisely decided to use a vice president to have that conversation. And instead of just doing a press release, because they hadn't resolved the problem yet. It was still going on. They decided to make it a two-way conversation. They leveraged Facebook live video and were able to answer questions in real time as the vice president was live and customers asked questions. Now, this was really effective, but the volume of people affected, 250,000 people stuck in airports, their social media team was quickly overwhelmed, and this really hurt them. This problem was compounded because they chose not to engage on crisis management on Instagram at all. They had an audience, but they viewed that platform as something for, wanderlust and positive posts. And so people turned to this channel for answers and were met with silence. And so this channel was bombarded by angry comments and frustration by those stranded passengers. So it is critical that if you have an audience on a platform, that message gets to that platform. So what happens if a crisis doesn't focus on your brand? What happens when tragedy strikes? How do you as a brand respond? Here's an example of a brand doing it poorly. Food brand Epicurious starts with, "Our thoughts are with everyone in Boston." This is in the aftermath of the Boston Marathon bombing. Now, these tweets are innocuous, right? But strategically, they get lost in a sea of other tweets, so they're ineffective. But worse than that, they're part of a larger problem called slacktivism. You see it on Facebook with flag filters, and what it represents is people choose to engage this way on social media in lieu of offering any real support to victims. So when brands do this, instead of creating a groundswell of support for victims with funds, services, money, things like that, they absolve their responsibility by saying thoughts and prayers. So Epicurious went on to dig the hole deeper, and they chose to try to capitalize on the trending topic. So back to back, they tweeted, "Boston, our hearts are with you. Here's a bowl of breakfast energy we could all use to start today." Ouch. And 30 minutes later, "In honor of Boston and New England, may we suggest whole grain cranberry scones." As you can tell, this was received extremely poorly. It was in bad taste and tone deaf. And so ultimately, their social media team did recognize their gaffe, and they went to apologize. But we talked about sincerity, right? So Epicurious decided to apologize by taking a canned message, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And so their followers found that was hollow, and they did not accept the apology. They felt like it was insincere. So Epicurious would have been much better served to say nothing after that. But what happens when you feel like you should respond? When should you respond after a tragedy if you're a brand? So the simple answer to that is if you can use your social capital for good. Let's take a look at how JetBlue responded after the Pulse nightclub massacre here in Orlando last year. So they had the ability to offer a substantial donation, and they were able to help direct their followers who also wanted to donate. So if you can donate or fundraise, that's when you should engage. Orlando is one of the hub cities for JetBlue. It's also where JetBlue University is housed. So they're a member of the Orlando community, just like Disney and Universal. So it made perfect sense for them to draft a press release talking about what they were going to do to help their community in need. So if you're part of the community, that's when you should engage. JetBlue also identified that they could help directly with the people that needed assistance right now. So they stepped up big, and they offered a free flight to any family member or domestic partner of somebody that was a victim of the Pulse tragedy. And the feedback from the community was overwhelmingly positive. These are 3, but there are just pages of tweets saying thank you to JetBlue, and they remain one of the best examples of how to respond during a tragedy. President Kennedy once said that the Chinese use 2 brushstrokes when drawing the word crisis. One is for the danger, and one is for the opportunity. So every crisis is an opportunity to build and reinforce the trust between your brand, and your customers. So here's what you can do today to be better prepared when crisis strikes. Institute a crisis team. Who's going to respond when things go wrong? Designate a spokesperson and get them trained. These are the people that put you back on track, not dig a hole deeper. Adopt or develop a monitoring system that keeps track of brand mentions and lets you know if a trend develops. Your team needs to know as quickly as possible so that they can assess the situation and make a plan. It is absolutely critical to pause any scheduled content. We all remember the tweet that made it look like Joan Rivers was hawking iPhones from beyond the grave, right? So it's important for every tweet during crisis management to be on message. If Chipotle was tweeting their lighthearted, jokey posts right after their E. coli crisis, it would have undermined their sincerity, the sincerity of their reassurance that it's safe to eat here. And finally, do a post-crisis analysis. Did you find out early enough? What went well? What can you do better next time? So there will be a next time. In crisis management, it's not a matter of if, but when. So try to plan for the danger, but make sure to also look for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you. Mm. All right. Brands in crisis. All right, moving on. It's almost lunchtime, but we have one more left here. Please welcome to the stage to speak of influencer and brand legal compliance, Andrew Lustigman. Do you need a clicker? Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Just the green.
Good morning. My name is Andy Lustigman. I'm an attorney that helps advertisers and influencers deal with compliance issues and get their message out in a legally defensible method. So what we're going to talk about today is the laws that govern influencer and creator marketing. Just going to try to give you an overview and then some recent cases that have focused on influencer marketing campaigns. Keep in mind that even though it's social media, advertising, whether it's in the social media space or otherwise, is governed by traditional advertising laws. And those could be the Federal Trade Commission Act, it could be the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, it could be state law equivalents. These requirements are going to apply regardless of the marketing channel or the method of communication. So even though it's on Facebook, it's still going to be governed by the law. Advertisers, and those are the brands, are responsible for the claims they make in advertisements and those that are done by the influencers and their agencies. Also, and this is important, is that the influencers, you can be held liable for the claims that you are making, and that includes deceptive representations or if they're involved in the dissemination of the advertising. When you are required to make a disclosure, it needs to follow what's known as the 4 Ps, and we'll get into what those are. And also keep in mind that intellectual property needs to be respected. So who can challenge advertisements? Well, you can have on the federal level, like the Federal Trade Commission, the Food and Drug Administration, but you can also have self-regulatory bodies, and we're going to talk about some cases that have been brought by the NAD, the National Advertising Division of the Better Business Bureau. Competitors can bring challenges with respect to advertising campaigns that can involve influencers, and then you can also have consumers bringing class actions. And this can include influencer campaigns as well. When you boil it down, you're really talking essentially about a key law being Section 5 of the FTC Act, right? There's no specific law, so to speak, that says, okay, this law is what governs social media advertising. It boils down to Section 5 of the FTC Act, which prohibits unfair, deceptive acts or practices. And what that means is the claim likely to mislead a reasonable consumer? Are the claims supported by competent evidence? Are they substantiated? Can the consumer reasonably avoid the injury? Now, what that means, and as it relates to influencer campaigns, the government has said is, does the consumer know that there's a connection between the influencer and the advertiser? That's what we're talking about there. And we view this from a reasonable consumer's perspective. Now, as influencers, there are certain key things that you must keep in mind. When you are talking about a product or a service, it must reflect your honest experience. You have to be a bona fide user of the product. You cannot make, and a brand cannot ask you to make, a representation that the brand could not make itself. So you can't go through an influencer to make a claim that you don't have support for or would be deceptive. And when there is a connection between an influencer and a brand, that connection must be disclosed or it must be obvious. So disclosure obligations apply regardless of the platform and irrespective of your space limitations. Tweets should begin with ad or hashtag ad or include sponsored or paid ads, things along those lines. It doesn't have to have a hashtag, but it needs to work those into it. Disclosures need to be on all page posts, links, and appear throughout the videos. And you must follow what's known as the 4 Ps. Is it big enough to read? Is it understandable? Will it be seen? And is it close to the claim at issue? Now, the FTC has said that any material connection between the brand and the influencer must be disclosed. So what are we talking about? That means if you've been hired as an influencer, that needs to be disclosed. If you're an employee of the brand, that needs to be disclosed. If you're being paid, again, disclosure, discounts, products, even a sweepstakes entry. If you're doing something as an influencer as for a sweepstakes entry, the FTC has said, believe it or not, you need to make that disclosure. So how do you make these disclosures? They have to be clear and conspicuous. They have to show that it's sponsored or ad or sweepstakes, and it should be upfront, not just in the headers. If you're talking about a video, a vlog, it needs to be in numerous times throughout the video. It should be at the beginning of the tweet. And know that the government has said that promoted by is just not enough. So with those teachings in mind, I reached out to my favorite youth vlogger, my son Matarexic, and asked him to, if he was hired by Mondelez to do a review on new Swedish fish, how would he handle that?
Hey guys, it's your boy Matarexic coming at you. I'm gonna try two different styles of Swedish fish. First one, to check if it's a new look. Is it a new flavor? We'll find out next. Alright, I'm gonna go taste this. Oh my god, that's insane. Well, I guess right now, I'm going to try a second flavor. This is the brand new knockoff version of Swedish fish. Oh, that's disgusting. Why would they make that? Swedish fish really is the better flavor.
So Matt, notwithstanding being my son, didn't follow exactly the rules, right? If he was hired by Mondelez, he didn't share that he was, there was a connection between them. He didn't exactly do a fair taste test, if you will, with respect to the product. So, so why, you're sitting here and you're saying he's an aspiring star. Why should he necessarily care? I mean, we're influencers. What's out there for us? Well, if you're a brand, you're going to be held liable for both the express and the implied claims that are made by either not just the advertiser, but also the influencer. There's potential liability for the influencers and advertisers' failure to disclose the connection. And then importantly, and this is the one I really think you should really keep in mind, is tarnishing of your reputation. Because if you don't do things right, a couple of things could happen. Number one, your public will take you to task and you will lose your credibility, right? Credibility is the key to all of this. There's also a risk of being investigated by the government. This past summer, we handled a couple of investigations by the Federal Trade Commission in which they looked at specifically the influencer activity. The recent settlements, which we'll go through with the FTC, those have included provisions that brands must terminate influencers that don't comply and cease making payment. So things to keep in mind. Now, PewDiePie is probably the...
Thanks for the shout out.
Let's see how he thinks.
What do I owe this pleasure? FTC calls me wildly popular PewDiePie. If you ever meet me in person, please refer to me as the wildly popular PewDiePie. Basically, this happened. PewDiePie and other YouTubers took money from Warner Brothers for positive game reviews. Now that's fucked up. I'm just disappointed. This is all over my Twitter feed. People are saying PewDiePie took corporate money to not disclose paid game reviews. #shame. Warner Brothers and PewDiePie's shady influencer marketing. So shady. It's disgusting. Bloggers and influencers have responsibility to disclose. So now that PewDiePie got caught getting paid off by publishers to shill for games, can we hate him now? Can we just hate PewDiePie now? I don't really know what he does, but I never liked him, and ooh, now I got a reason to hate that son of a bitch. He got paid and he didn't disclose it. That's disgusting. That's despicable.
So you can see that the impact it can have on your reputation. Now, what PewDiePie was talking about was a campaign for video game Shadow of Mordor, in which it paid influencers to review its game and to do through game type play. And here's an example of a YouTube page, and as you can see, there's no disclosure here of the material connection. Well, I mean, this is a major campaign. You would think they've got to have the disclosure there. Well, in fact, they did have the disclosure. You can see way down on the bottom, after the merchandising, after business inquiries, there is a disclosure, and the disclosure says this video is sponsored by Warner Brothers, and then it adds the great, no one reads this far into the description, what are you doing snooping around? Most people would say that would be Exhibit A to the case. It was actually Exhibit B, but you can imagine. So the influencers got free advanced games, and they were paid. The allegation was that Warner Brothers did not tell influencers to include sponsorship disclosures clearly and conspicuously, to follow the 4 Ps. In fact, the allegation is that they told influencers to disclose below the fold, and also told the influencers how to speak with respect to the game, not to disclose glitches and the like. Warner Brothers entered into a consent order. The consent order barred them from making disclosures that, unless they disclose that it is sponsored or misrepresenting that the video gameplays are independent, required Warner Brothers to have an educational program and to terminate and withhold payment from influencers that failed to comply. Lord & Taylor, the retailer, recently had an issue. They paid a campaign involving a number of fashion bloggers to wear a paisley dress and to tweet it with a designated tweet and to put it on their page. Wildly successful campaign. The dress apparently sold out in a matter of hours. However, the FTC charged that there wasn't a disclosure that these people were hired as influencers. Lord & Taylor had engaged in a similar type of settlement with respect to its advertising campaigns. It's not just, though, the FTC that's out there. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Kim Kardashian, but she had a problem with the Food and Drug Administration when she was pregnant with Saint. She did a tweet and then an Instagram post for a morning sickness medication. In the narrative, she disclosed that this was a product that she was in partnership with the drug manufacturer, but she didn't disclose, you know when you see prescription drug advertising on TV, you see people so happy and everything, and then there's this disclaimer that says the product is going to kill you and all these terrible things are going to happen to you. She didn't do that. Now, to her credit, in the post, she did have the warning letters where you could go to get more information, but the FDA issued a warning letter to the drug manufacturer saying that they needed to have all of the disclosures and that her tweet or her post had to be consistent with what they could say in advertising. They made the drug manufacturer engage in a corrective advertising campaign in which she had to repost with all of the parade of horribles that could happen. But it's not just Kimmy that's gotten in trouble. In fact, last month, just a few weeks ago, Chloe and Courtney had their problems. So Courtney, this is Courtney. Courtney is talking about how she's starting her new year right off, right, with a cup of fit tea. Who is joining me? I think the following posts are funny too. Make up your mind, is it fit tea or skinny tea? She gets paid to show it off, but still, ha ha. So Chloe and Courtney, actually themselves, a case was brought before the National Advertising Division. This is a self-regulatory body that looks at national advertising campaigns. And they said that there needed to be prominent disclosure of the relationship. So here you have Chloe, sorry. You know, here now in her more recent post, she does say sponsored. I would say that the FTC would say that's not going to be sufficient. They want to see it at the beginning, but at least it's a change. But it shows you that here they did not just bring the challenge against the brand. It was brought specifically against the influencers. So how else can this appear? There can be issues. Let's see.
Keeping your kids safe when you're not around is probably the biggest concern and worry of most parents. Well, now with advances in technology, a parent's job is much easier than it was only a handful of years ago. Here to tell us what's out there is Allison Rhodes. She's a national family and safety expert known as the Safety Mom. That's an underdog.
Exactly.
Yay.
I've got a big S on my chest.
Good to meet you.
Now, we were captivated by the first thing that you have on your table, and it's almost like, I guess, a motion detector for kids at home while you're at work so you can check on
This is truly the virtual babysitter. I travel a lot.
Just going to go through it. So what was charged is that the Safety Mom was actually a paid influencer and was actually paid a lot of money. And here she's on the Today Show, and she doesn't represent or disclose that she is a paid influencer for ADT. ADT then had a similar FTC order put in place like the others. Interestingly, recently, Joyous and People magazine, on the People page, Joyous had a section on the page called Products We Love. The products we love were actually, it was actually a shopping page. These were endorsed type pages, so there was a connection with it. And they were charged with failing to disclose that this is really a shopping channel, so to speak, that would not be readily obvious from just seeing products we love. Going to skip through because we're beginning to run out of time. So what does this mean to brands and influencers? Where we are today, what does this mean? I think the first thing you need to do is to really embrace disclosure. A very seasoned trial lawyer taught me long ago, when you have a negative fact, when you have something that you're scared of, don't be scared of it, embrace it. Spin it your way, make it a positive. And that's something I think you should take in mind when dealing with any type of disclosure. Don't be the person who buries it in the very bottom. When in doubt, if you're unsure, disclose and do so prominently. Make sure you're being authentic and honest. You know, sincerity is important. If you're a brand, don't have the influencers do what you can't do yourself. If you're a brand, make sure you have influencer guidelines and make sure you read them and make sure there's education to explain them. You should monitor what your influencers are doing and make sure there's compliance. If there isn't compliance, make sure that you retrain them. Let people know what they're doing wrong. Be smart and mindful, and if you're unsure, just don't post it, okay? Thanks very much. If you are interested in any of these topics, we have a bunch of articles at the Olshan table back there, and I'm happy to answer any questions after the break. So take care.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, big round of applause for all of our speakers this morning. Yeah. Lunch break. All right, there are a lot of great choices, you guys, for lunch. Don't forget there's 10% off all the restaurants except for the Cocoa Bean and Emerald Bay. Also, when you come back in, we will be checking badges, so please make sure you have yours. If you have to run back to your room to get it, please go get it. But yeah, we will be checking badges when you get back. So let's meet back here at 1 o'clock. Thanks so much.